want to step aside with you, the membership, one by one. I want to ask you five fairly simple, what I would say, dumbass questions. These are fine, just five questions. And they're not complicated. They're not deep. They're not going to pry into your privacy or ask you something that would embarrass you or something that I can't reveal the answer to somebody else. I just want to ask you five general questions. And in those five questions, you're going to give me enough insight to where we can take this to the guiding factors of worldwide woodturners and put us on the right course, or we are on the right course, but a better course for growing this club because we've grown a lot. We're the world's largest club, and we got a great following. But we've got people that only tune in for certain parts of it. I want to know why. What parts do you tune in for? What parts do you tune out on? Why do you come? Why do you go? What do you do the most? What do you do the least? What do you see more of? What do you want to see less of? Just five general questions. That's it. It will probably take you 5 minutes to give me those five answers, and then I'm going to give you 1 minute to give me an essay, and I'll record your essay, and you tell me what you want to tell me. Don't worry about hurting my feelings or make me feel bad. Oh, I feel bad already. But I want to know the truth. I can't grow, and this club can't grow unless we know the truth. So if I ask you those five questions, and then I give you 1 minute to just talk, and I put the whole thing in a can, and I present this can with no labels on it. That's a promise I'm going to make. That there'll be no labels on that can. No one will ever know that Bob said this, or Ken said this, or Al said that, or Billy didn't want to agree, or what that. Nobody will ever know that. This is my promise to you. My promise is this. This is an effort or a move to make this club grow bigger, better, and stronger as a club. You see, we can grow as an organization. We can grow as a business. We can grow as a foundation. But none of that is a club. A club is where people get together and they share thoughts and ideas and beliefs. They share feelings. They tell it from down deep and tell everybody, what are you doing? What are you up to? And why we do this? That's it. So we're going to start that in 1 week. We'll tell you how to do it and how it's going to be. But we're going to take you aside and ask you five questions and give you a minute to tell us the facts, the truth about worldwide woodturners. Because this club is growing with your help. So, all right, folks. With that, we got a little bit to do tonight.
I think it should be twice a week.
You know what? I'm not here to argue with you about that.
Well, hey, I'd be there.
I'm from the old days. What's good might get better.
Right.
But it's one of those things. As I said, no one will ever know who makes what comments. I promise that. There's no way you can get that out of me. No way I will ever tell anybody. None. If I do, I'm going. I'm out of here. If I break that promise, I'm going. Because I believe that is as sacred as our friendship. So we'll start that real soon. It's going to be 5 questions and an essay. And it's just what we need to do to bring this club up another notch. Because damn it, folks, we're moving. We're moving quick. In a few minutes, you're going to hear about the Level Up registration. Patches are out there. We got the world's greatest website for wood turning, the most outstanding newsletter in the world dealing with wood turning. We have a program every week that nobody can touch in this world. and it's free. Right?
Totally.
Top of the hour. Let's rock and roll, folks. Let's rock and roll.
For sure.
Thank you.
Very good, Captain.
Thank you.
All right, let's do
Thanks a lot,
let's do a
Cap.
little bit of gallery here. And then let's see, got a message. Give me 1 minute here. Matt, can you pick up gallery as you see them coming in now that you're a co-host? And I'll take care of the ones
Yeah,
I've
sure.
got
I
left.
sure will. Yep, I will.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
sir. Thank you.
Interrupting his pie.
So, let's go to Dale. Here we go, Dale. You're muted.
I'm not muted anymore. Okay.
Nope.
Well, here's one little walnut box. Plain ordinary box.
Go.
Nice.
Got a decent fit to the top. Here's another one, which I embellished a little bit.
Oh, cool.
That's
Bring it
cool.
closer to the camera.
Oh,
Heck yeah.
Wait,
What did you do to
That's
embellish
cool.
it?
there you go. I can see that.
Yeah. Little dots are sweet looking.
Yep. And then here's a bigger one with a maple top.
Yeah, it's pretty.
A little tight yet. I got to work on getting it a little looser. 'Cause it's kind of hard to get off.
Nice.
And I got a little cherry live edge platter.
Yep.
nice.
No wood went to waste.
Eyeballs.
Yeah, it's not very big. It's about 5 inches long and maybe 3 inches wide, but was a cut off for making a cherry bowl, and I wasn't about to throw it away. Took me about 6 months to decide what to do with it, but yep, that's it for tonight.
Nice job,
Very
Dale.
nice, very
Dale's
nice,
been
very
doing a lot
nice.
of turning this week.
Yeah, well, it took me a couple of weeks to get these all done, but I wanted to have more than one item to show before I showed them. And JJ's got pictures of all of them already.
All right, very cool. Thank you, Dale.
You're
Morning,
welcome.
Paul.
Go to Mr. Kingsley. Dave, we got you.
Hey. Well, I've been trying to clean up my shop and some stuff around. And I had a piece of wood that I've been using as a doorstop that I've never seen anybody here, at least in my memory, of ever turning this kind of wood before. And the reason it was my doorstop is because when I first got it, I didn't care for it much either. But
Oh my goodness,
Ooh.
Oh,
it's poplar.
Pretty
That-
Oh,
doorstop.
wow.
Looks
what
beautiful.
is it?
Wow. Nice.
that's
That's
beautiful.
pretty. That's
Yeah,
really
that's a
pretty.
nice bowl, Dave.
And
Oh my.
That
That
must
is
have been
pretty.
I was very pleased with it. At first, I had a lot of problems with tear out, which is probably why people don't like it.
What
It
kind of
does
wood?
tear. It does tear. But you know what? You'd be a better turner because you're going to get sharper.
Yes, sharper and turning. I'm learning how to turn faster. I've been a little too paranoid about things exploding on me or whatever. And I turn too slow. But
That's
yeah,
beautiful.
that was a big doorstop.
well, it was about 18 inches tall.
Doorstop.
Yeah. And I'm glad I finally got around to turning it. It almost makes me wish I had some more, but I'll live with that idea.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
pretty.
it looks
Nice.
good. It looks
I
good.
appreciate it.
Real pretty.
But that was it for this week.
All right.
Well, the
Beautiful.
kid's back in school now, so maybe I'll get some more time.
There you go. Thank you, sir. All right, let's go to Miss Brenda.
Oh my. Me already?
Oh my, look at you.
All right. Well, I have been busy. Let me show you first of all these little pegs. I made,
Oh yeah.
3 sets of 8 on these little things. And why did I make them? I made them for my little guitars. See little pigs? That holds the
Yeah.
strings in.
Cool.
See there? That's one.
Nice.
Nice.
And then this is the second one. See, little
Let's hear,
pigs.
let's hear it strum.
You hear it?
Nah, Zoom's
No,
muffling it.
no.
Yeah. Let's see,
Okay.
that was for Tucker.
Yeah,
So
but
how did you hollow it out? How did you do it?
nope, the back is it's just a 1-inch piece of poplar,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not real heavy. And this one I did today.
There you go.
Nice.
I ain't got the pegs
There
in
you
it yet
go.
because the pegs are right here.
You know what? Yeah, you might just be bringing him into some maybe learn how to play guitar in real life. You know?
Brenda, what you need to look up is make a guitar out of a cigar box.
Somebody mentioned that last week. But I wanted something that he can't tear up.
Well, true.
And then this was one of my first ones and it was way too big for him, so I kind of painted it up for myself. Yeah.
See, my dad always said he wanted to give me something to keep me from tearing it up, and he gave me a railroad tie.
And I did do some turning this week. I made a set of measuring spoons. Okay. Now, these are not your typical measuring spoon kit. Well, it is your typical, but modified it. The person that wanted it wanted the handles longer. Okay. So I don't know if you know this or not, but at Penn State, and maybe the rest of them do too, I don't know, you can buy just the tube, right? The tube for this one is just about this long, right? I bought extra ones, so I modified it and made it a little longer. And this was as long as I can make it with my drill bit. So they're longer. Some of them are kind of bigger.
They look pretty.
So you can modify them. And I already gave them the other one of them. So it's a set of 4, but I modified that.
Very neat.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. Those handles
And
look nice. Uh-oh.
Ooh.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
I
You
like
found your
that.
calling.
Nice.
Yeah.
You found your calling, Brenda. You found your calling.
Nice.
Yeah.
That looks good.
That
Nice.
is shiny.
That's
Very
nice.
nice. Very nice.
laser at the bottom.
Mine.
Mine. This
That's
one's
a
mine.
nice job.
Got the
What
year
kind of
wrong.
finish you have on that, Brenda?
Very nice.
Dane's finish is on. Oh, drop it. Hurt. It's Dane's finish, the
Tongue oil.
tongue oil.
Tongue oil. Okay.
Yeah.
Looks great. Looks
Well,
great.
Again,
And that's
the
not
question,
buffed or nothing. It's got, I think, 6 layers of tongue oil.
Very nice.
Yeah, it
Brenda.
looks sharp.
yeah,
That
it
looks
is.
sharp.
Really nice.
How
Very nice,
many-
Brenda. You won't need to take my class.
Well, my next one's going to be an open segmented. It may be a little
Ooh.
while, but I want to do an open segmented.
Nice.
I'm gonna ask
I
you a
did
silly
get some,
question. How many pieces per ring?
Can you see this where the purple?
Yeah, where it bled.
Yeah, it bled in there. I don't know how and it didn't do it everywhere, just a couple spots.
Yeah, it's
know why.
dust from the purple wood and it
Mhm.
it gets into the grain. Yeah.
But
It
it didn't
does
do it
happen.
the rest of the outside didn't do it at all.
How did you come up with your piece and how did you lay it out? How many pieces per ring are there? And then like with Billy, we
What
were
I
all
say,
talking
this
last
was
week. How did you come up with the pattern and how did you lay those out? You had a sequence or what?
Well, she's got the jig.
yeah, I used the jig.
The easy
But
jig.
how did you make the pattern for it though?
That was just in my head.
That's
I just
that's
overlapped them.
nice. So it was every other one, every other
Yeah.
one. No, it's not really. Then you moved it to the next row, every other one, every other one.
Yeah, just moved it over half a row
Yeah.
or half a block.
Okay. Yeah.
Mhm,
That's a nice idea. It looks gorgeous.
mhm. And each layer, what was it? 18 pieces, I think, per row.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they were cut at 15 degrees. And each row, the width, I added an eighth of an inch. I think it was an eighth of an inch to each, to where this one, I think this one's like 2 inches from here to here. That makes sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
In order to make the length of each row.
Yeah,
Make it
to make
wider.
it kind of angle out, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Very nice, Brenda. You did a good.
It is nice.
yeah, I like that one. Hence mine.
Pretty inspiring. Pretty
My new
inspiring.
popcorn bowl.
There you go.
It's a nice popcorn bowl.
Yeah.
Nice full serving.
That is.
For Dane, it would be his M&M bowl.
Yep. That's all I got.
If they were
Very
18
nice.
pieces, then it's probably 10 degrees.
Was it 10? That might have been.
Yep.
I don't remember now. It's been a while since I've done it.
If it's 18, it's 10 degrees.
But yeah, I used the jig. That thing was easy. Of course, I
Mhm.
also had to call Billy. Hadn't called Billy once too. He helped me out.
Hey, Billy
Well,
did
no,
an
okay.
urn like. Brenda, have you seen Billy's urn that he did last week?
Yes.
He'll show it to us
Yes.
in a little while. I want to see that.
Beautiful
urn.
He's
thing.
coming, he'll
Beautiful.
be coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very good. Thank you, Brenda.
All right.
All right, let's go to Mr. Al.
There he is.
Hello, everyone. How's everybody? I hope everyone's good. It's nice to see everyone. I just played around a little bit. One candlestick, and tried. I just playing around, and
Cool.
then we played around here a little bit. Some offset turning.
That's nice.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's
It
pretty
came
good.
out-
Well executed. That's fun. Nicely done.
Yeah,
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 that's
yeah.
nice.
Yeah, it was the 1 to 2 to 2 to 3 to 3 to 1. Yeah.
Good job.
And I did that, and I did another one. I think there's a little bit more shape in some of them, but there's my blemish right there.
How far apart were your centers,
I
Al?
was just gonna say 3/8 of an inch,
Thanks.
you know, and yeah, I kind of like it. Now, from last week and from what we just heard with Brenda, I had made a cigar.
Oh, look at you.
Huh?
Now,
Oh, man.
why I'm saying this, not, and why, I mean, I did 3 strings. It's so simple. There's hundreds and hundreds of videos on YouTube.
Mhm.
I found a wooden cigar box, but you could also do it out of, a cardboard cigar box. And it's simple. You take the top off of it. You get this here. I had a piece of oak I found. It was something I ripped. It was just something I bought from Lowe's, and I altered the top a little bit. I only have about $10 in this. I bought each of these, and I bought the 3 strings. Maybe it was a little more than 10. Maybe it's under $15 probably. And let's see if I can clear it out here to show you. I just want to show you how simple it is. I mean, I notched here on this end, and I notched on the back, so it goes completely through. And at the end there, all I did was drilled 3 holes, and I ran the string starting that way up and through, and then that way. And this is just an 1/8 inch screw. Just an 1/8 inch screw. I drilled 2 holes, and each of the frets, I used to play guitar. I have one here, so I laid it up to each other, and I laid out the frets. And then all I did was with a saw, I made grooves, and I cut finishing nails. So each one of the frets is a finishing nail. And And the top up here, they're just screws. I don't know if I can.
Yeah. Phillips head screws looks like.
It's holding I mean, it's angling down. It's hard to explain how, but it's doing something for the guitar. But they're so simple to make, super simple to make.
Nice job, nice
Yeah.
job, Al.
Yes.
Looks good, Al.
I had a couple
Let's hear
people
it
over
play.
at the music store. Can you hear it?
No,
No, you
No.
probably can't. But I had my son used to play drums, so I know this one music store a lot, and they know us. And I bought these and the strings and stuff. But when I was done, I brought it back over there, and I had a couple of those guys over there play it. And they said, "Yeah, that's pretty good. That's nice." So it's not hard to do, Brenda. And for anybody that's interested, there's hundreds of videos
Right.
on it.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, he'll like it, and it's nothing fast.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody suggested last week, I make a cigar box one, but my
That's why-
grandson is
that's why I
3
showed it
years
today.
old. I've done bought him a play one. He's went through 2 or 3 of them and broke them. So I wanted something that would not break.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
unless he can break the fishing line, it ain't gonna break. I hope.
Every sounds
Hope
good.
you're
If
right.
so,
Hope
the
you're
pegs
right.
do come out and I can restring it.
Right?
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's why when we talked about it last week, I figured I want to show Brenda this. But like I said,
Yes.
anybody, I mean, I hope it's nice to do. It's nice to do. There wasn't any turning in it, but it was something different.
Right.
And we were talking about guitars last week and talk about them now. So
Right.
that's it with me. Everybody have a good night.
Thanks, Al.
Everybody be really good.
Your
Be good.
yo-yo. What happened to your yo-yo?
I can't get the string right. As soon as I get the string right, I mean, I'll have it finished up, but I gotta go. This was not the masonry string that I said I have. I have it, and I said, well, maybe this will work better. And just before the meeting, I was playing around with it, and it's all messed up here now. But as soon as I get the string going, I'll be showing you
All right,
some
that's-
stuff. There'll be
That's
some
how my
stuff.
yo-yos wound up anyhow as a kid. The string was all hosed up on it in a knot.
Right.
Well, like I said, I enjoy this a lot, guys. Thank you very much. Everybody be good.
All right.
You too,
Thanks,
Al.
sir. All right, let's go to Mr. Kenny. Hey, Tom.
Hello. I went to visit Buddy last week, and he sent me home with a piece of silver maple, and I think the worms got more of it than I did. Uh-oh. There you go.
Oh, wow.
That's
That
beautiful.
is gorgeous, Tom.
It
Wow.
was,
It's pretty.
it was right on the cusp of being firewood, but it turned out okay. I got just one coat of walnut oil on right now. I haven't decided what the real finish is going to be, but fairly pleased with the way it came out, and the spalting was really pretty.
Wow.
It's a 9.5 inches
Yeah, that's-
tall and about just over 5 inches in diameter.
That's a great piece. I'm sure it'll find a nice home.
Right.
Appreciate that.
That's
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Beautiful, beautiful, Tom.
Thanks. That's it for me.
Eeyore.
I see a tiger.
I seen Eeyore and I seen Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, goodness, guys.
That is triple the price right there.
There you go.
That's beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Oh, there's a
Appreciate it.
longhorn skull in there.
Yeah. See what you've done, Brenda? Everybody's looking for him.
I know, right?
Oh, I gotta
Oh, I
say,
love
y'all,
these pieces.
y'all scare me.
Oh, there's a pack of wolves that are running down the side. You can see all kinds of stuff on there if you look.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very nice, Tom.
Appreciate that.
It's as good as sitting there watching the stars at night.
Yeah,
right?
beautiful.
Mesmerizing.
How tall is that, Tom?
9.5 inches.
Gorgeous.
Wow.
Where'd you get your wall thickness to?
Skinny quarter.
Oh, okay,
And
nice.
if you look through the bug holes, I didn't cheat. It's all the way down, pretty consistent.
Yep,
Sweet.
very cool.
Very good.
What else you got, Tom?
That's it for tonight.
I hope to be that
Alrighty.
good someday.
That's gorgeous.
Yep.
All right, let's go to Mr. Barnes.
Good evening. I
You're
knew
it.
I'd follow Tom. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got you.
Yes.
All right. Tom, that was a beautiful piece. I'm almost ashamed to show you. I hadn't been in the shop for a couple, 3 years, but I had this piece of walnut and a lady wanted a platter.
Oh, that's
So
nice.
I got busy and
Yeah.
I turned it out and I kind of tickled with myself for getting it done to begin with. And it came out really nice. She's going to pick it up here in just a few minutes. And
Beautiful.
I hope she enjoys it. I know I enjoyed making it.
It's just like riding a bicycle, man. You
I'm
never
sorry.
forget. I said it's just like riding a bicycle. You never forget, you know?
Well, I learned a lot, but I've realized after my tools sit a while, I don't think they were that dull when I quit turning. So I had to learn how to resharpen. So that's just part of it. I'm just so glad
Yeah.
to be back in the shop. I turned some elm paper towel holders this morning for a lady, and the elm is quite dusty, and it did get to me. So I'm probably not going to be out there tomorrow. I'll do my breathing treatments and get my lungs straightened back out. But
Right.
I've missed the wood turning. I enjoy it. And Tom, I'm sorry I had to follow you with just a plain old piece of walnut, but
Oh,
I wanted to show everybody what I've done.
Thing was beautiful.
Very nice. I'm glad we got to see your work.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that planter's
Thanks, Rick.
gorgeous.
Y'all have a good
All
evening.
right, let's go to Mr. Patrick. Hey, Pat.
Yeah.
Head on that guy.
This, I picked up the crappiest piece of cedar I had in my stash and just turned a little box.
That looked crappy to me.
Looks beautiful.
Nice.
Oh,
Well,
look, it's
it
got
was a fair amount bigger than what it turned out. I turned a lot of cracks out and boards and stuff, but
Looks like you turned the crappy away.
Love it.
That's pretty.
I-
That's pretty. I like that shape. I like that shape a lot.
The texture
like
you
Thank
got
you.
them.
Embezzlement on the top there. That looks really nice.
Yeah, the texturing looks really nice.
and this started out to be a square box. But when I started turning it, I said, I'm gonna see how many angles I can get out of it.
That's
So
cool.
that's cool.
Wow.
Almost looks like a building, like
Yeah. Look at
Yeah,
that.
it's very architectural.
Hagia Sophia or something in miniature. Very nice.
It's beautiful.
Very.
It was a lot of fun to turn, but it won't fun to sand. All of this had to be hand sanded.
Yeah, I was
And
going
it
to say
took-
I'd be doing it with a hand.
It
Wow.
took forever.
That's what
And
these
the finishes
looking
on it.
What?
It's spray enamel, and I've got to finish putting the finish on it. The bottom
There you go.
just got the sanding sealer.
Love it.
It is.
Yeah. I like
I like that a lot,
Oh,
Pat.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah, that's I like that. The idea is, with the round dome like that is really nice. Now, how from square did it turn into that though? Is my question. As you said, it's gonna be a square bowl.
Yeah, when I picked it up, that was what I had in mind. But this part here is done with a hole saw on
Yeah,
a drill
right.
press.
Ah,
No,
Okay.
no. My question, I guess, more is what happened that made the change from a square bowl to that? I mean, did something happen with, I don't know, I'm just saying, did you just see it differently and you saw that?
You know, a mind is a terrible thing.
And
it
You
just
actually
it just
exercise
went-
design opportunity.
Yep,
Huh?
that's it. That's it.
Exactly.
That's it.
Oh,
It had
Beautiful.
some little cracks in it and different things, and I said I'm gonna see if I can make something out of it and cut out most of the bad parts. And
Yeah, that's nice.
that's what
That's
happened.
nice. That's nice.
And then I turned this. This is what I'll be demoing at Level Up in September.
Yes.
wow.
Nice.
Beautiful.
And I saw where you've got a whole bunch of blanks already milled up for it now.
Yep, got them milled up and drying.
Mm.
Nice.
Can't wait to meet you guys. I swear, can't wait to meet you guys.
That's pretty.
Wow.
But these are a lot of fun. They're fairly simple once you get the concept of it, but they're a lot of fun.
Right?
How big is that there, Pat?
It's 8.5 inches across.
Okay.
Did you make extra blanks? Because I'm going to end up blowing mine up. And I won't
I'll
need an
have enough to take care of it.
Okay, keep that in mind.
That's what I was thinking too. I'd break out in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I plan to take some extras.
Really
All
pretty.
right.
Really pretty.
You're bringing your texturing tools too, right?
Yep,
All right.
they will be
There'll
there.
be more than one set of them there, Brenda.
All right.
And that's it for me.
Nice,
Right
Pat.
on.
That's really pretty. That's really pretty.
Sure is.
Nice.
Yeah, there you go.
Very
No, there,
nice.
Nice,
that's even nicer there now.
The ball in a bowl. Go ahead.
Cool.
The mind plays crazy things, doesn't it? Doesn't work in
Yes,
crazy
it
ways.
does. Like I said, a mind is a terrible thing.
It's a
That
terrible.
sure is. Sure
That
is.
looks really good with those sitting on top of it.
Right.
Thanks,
All right.
guys.
Thanks, Patrick. All right. Let's go to Red Air and see what Mr. Scott's got. Hey, Scott.
Hi there. I've only got a couple things tonight. That fellow was showing his poplar bowl. This is poplar from Alberta.
Nice.
Spalted.
Ready?
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah,
And
very nice.
that's my ice cream bowl.
Good.
Sweet.
I'm not a popcorn fan.
I'm with you, Scott.
I don't use a bowl when I eat ice cream.
The other thing that I have to show, and I had posted this on Facebook some time ago, and a lot of you commented.
Oh, that's pretty.
But this is my redwood burl hollow form.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's
That's pretty.
Gorgeous.
That is pretty.
And Dane had come back, and I had taken a picture. He took a picture and he kind of drew lines on it where he thought it was too wide at the bottom and stuff. And I got it to where I'm pretty sure that his drawing is very accurate to this. And
great.
it's a redwood burl, and I put a Manitoba maple finial on it. I like to keep it lighter. I know people said, "Oh, put a ebony or something," but I just like the lightness of this one. So
I agree with the lightning.
That came out well.
Yeah,
That
pretty.
came out
Finish?
really well.
Yeah, I think a dark finial would take away from that.
I think so too. And I sprayed that with it's got 8 coats of lacquer on it, and I
Really?
just used some double lot steel wool in between. So I think I've got one more sanding and a spray to go on it yet, but it's done. The meeting that I'm demoing lathe maintenance is tomorrow night, so I wanted to have this done to a point where I could put it on our show and tell table. So, and I want to thank everybody for their suggestions. I went out and did what everybody said on my lathe, and it works now. Amazing.
Love it.
That's
Very
great.
cool.
That's great. fact, we need to. Did we? Yeah, we did it on the group page, Facebook page, right, Scott?
Yes.
For your lake maintenance.
Yes.
Need to go back and strip that out and we'll put it on the web page.
Okay. Well,
All those
Sounds
ideas.
like very useful. It's something very useful. Yeah.
what
Right.
what I did is I took all the notes and everything, and I watched a couple videos, and I did it all in a bullet form for my
Okay.
demo tomorrow night. So what I'll do is I'll try and type it out and send
Okay.
it, because I think it would be better than my handwriting. So
Yeah, yeah, that'll work.
and I'll try and send it to I'm not sure who I should send it to, but
That's great. Send it to the
Send it
webmaster.
to the
right. Send
to
it
the
to
Or
webmaster.
send it to the editor. You got a choice.
Oh, okay. Okay. I will do that.
right on. Thanks,
All right.
Scott.
Thank you.
All right, Billy or Matt, take it away.
Yep. Billy's next. Yep.
Uh-oh.
Have at it, Billy. What you got?
Well, some of you were here last week and saw this. Some of you weren't. Y'all remember several meetings back, I was querying about making an urn because I had a request, and see if I can get this back a little bit.
Look at that.
Love that pattern.
Gorgeous, Billy.
Wow, that is beautiful.
And this is what I
Came out
came
so
out with.
well.
It's the red pieces are African mahogany. The outside white diamond is white ash. The inside diamond or lighter colored diamond is oak. The solid disc on the bottom that I've engraved, and I left the tenon on this on the inside. So this was a 3/4 inch piece, and I left about a 1/4 inch tenon on this piece that I cut to match the inside of this ring on, and I epoxied this on. I didn't use wood glue. I wanted to use epoxy because wood has a tendency to move sometimes, as we all know, and the epoxy, I think, will have a little more flexibility to keep this intact. I didn't want to put a floating bottom in it like I usually do most of my segmented pieces. And the lid is another piece of African mahogany, Sipo actually, but it's African mahogany. And I inlaid a piece of flame box elder burl into it.
Beautiful.
Nice.
The brass threads I got from Carl Jacobson. I just put a little design in there, even though nobody will ever see it once they put the lid on. But I
There you go.
I did finish the inside. I've got a layer of epoxy down in the bottom just to make sure it's sealed. And the inside of this is sanded and sealed with a couple of liberal coats of gloss poly, even though that wasn't necessary. The outside finish is, and this goes on nicely. And the outside finish is 4 coats of gloss deft. I did not buff it up. I didn't want it to be super glossy, so I'm just leaving it like it is.
Beautiful.
Looks
And
great.
It's a good
Thank you.
decision, Bill. Good decision with the finish.
I've got the 4 keepsake urns, the little 3.5 inch urns that I'm doing now. Those are on 2 lathes, and I hope to get those finished in the next
Billy,
couple
could
of
you
weeks, I guess.
Could you explain how you made it as a 2-part urn?
Oh, I did, yeah. I did this in 2 parts, and the wall thickness is it's a standard 3/8 of an inch all the way. So I did this in 2 parts. I did up to here on the bottom half I did, and then I shaped it and hollowed the inside to make sure that it was all the right wall thickness that I wanted. And then I took it off the lathe and I put the top on or on the chuck and started making it up. And when it got all together, I turned it to final shape and dimension. And then I made sure I married these up after I glued them up. And I was going to go back on the inside and because I knew there was going to be some glue squeeze out or something in here. So I was going to go back and fine tune that, but there wasn't any squeeze out on the inside. Not really. And so I didn't really have to do anything. It married up nice on the inside. It's nice and smooth. I had to do a little bit of smoothing out here, but not too much. So I just did it in 2 halves and put it back together. And then while it was still, of course, I used my steady rest to make sure that everything was nice and steady. And so to make sure this lined up, or the lid lined up the way I wanted it to, I had the tenon already cut on here and glued the brass on. I had the mortise already cut in here and glued the brass in. I used epoxy again. And then I screwed this on with it being roughly round, and then finished the shape and married up the curve and the top of the lid. And then I had a problem. In the process of doing this turning and marrying up, this thing tightened up on me like nobody's business. I actually had to put a strap clamp around it to break the threads loose. But it's all right. It worked. So that's it. Logo and other stuff engraved in the bottom. Her birth date and the date she passed. So
Very nice, Billy.
Hey, Billy.
her mother has already seen the pictures of it, and she's absolutely loves it. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I got a question for you. When they screw the top on, when they put the ashes in there, will they
Yes.
put Loctite on the threads for that? Do you know?
I do not know.
I just asking. I wasn't sure. No.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what most people do. I know in some situations, or for some situations, they have to be sealed. And I'm in my mind's eye that once this is tightened up and threaded on and tightened up, it's sealed.
Oh, okay.
So,
I don't know. I don't know. That's why I asked. So
yeah, this is my first turn. I don't have any idea.
okay.
But I'm happy. I was very apprehensive at first, but I'm very happy with it. I did the design on paper first because I wanted to do something that wasn't quite just your ordinary. So I drew up a double diamond, and then I used a program that I bought at SWAT this past year called Segment Pro to lay it out again, and I'm really happy with how that turned out.
Oh, nice.
It's a nice little program, but you can do the same thing on graph paper.
Yeah.
And I show that at the beginning of the video for this.
Do you know what the volume of that is?
I have not measured it yet. It's supposed to be based on the dimensions. It's supposed to be about 110 to 120 cubic inches. She only weighed about 100 pounds, so it only needs to be 100. But there's going to be 4 keepsake urns with about 4 cubic inches in each. So this should be plenty big for her. I did buy a bag of rice. I actually had my wife buy a bag of rice the other day that I'm going to pour in here and then pour into some liquid measuring cups to see what it comes out to. This should hold just over 66 cubic inches, or no, 66 ounces, fluid ounces. So about 66.4 is what it should hold. And I haven't poured the rice in there and poured it back out yet. to check it, but I will be doing that.
Billy,
Okay.
can you tell me how tall that is?
It is, I believe, 10.5 inches by about 6,
Okay. My
or maybe 10
father-in-law,
inches. It's 9.5 inches to here, so it's about 10 inches.
my father-in-law has a crypt, and I have to make something, and it's got to be less than a certain height, and that looks over
Right.
a foot on camera. It looks over a foot tall.
Yeah,
which
no,
wouldn't
no,
fit,
my
so-
my head's just really big.
Okay.
No, it's
It's the
not a
beard.
foot.
Okay.
You could also make the urns wider if you needed the space.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Right.
You can make it as wide as you want. It's just a matter of adjusting your cuts and your wood pieces to go in them.
You know, it's a good thing that you found out that you only have so much height. When my sister passed away, I made an urn, and it was too high and it was too wide, and I couldn't use it. I ended up buying one because it was a funeral and stuff. But it's good that you knew that in advance.
Well, my brother passed, and I tried turning him an urn, and it wouldn't fit in anything. He was close to 400 pounds.
Mercy.
Yeah, and it wouldn't fit, so I ended up making him a square box and finger jointed it and everything. So that's why I had asked, just because I really, really like the shape of this. And
Yeah, I don't know if you can tell, but the chatoyance from that African mahogany is just
That's
amazing.
beautiful. Yep.
It
Yeah,
is.
you
It's
hit on the
gorgeous
last
work,
one.
Billy.
It just moves like crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
You
It's
see it up
definitely
here, it
talking.
looks light, and then it looks dark.
Right.
It's nuts.
Talking.
Yeah, that's
Very
beautiful.
nice piece.
Thank
Did a
you.
good job.
Yeah, really,
Thank you,
Bill.
thank you.
Thanks a lot, man.
Appreciate it.
All right, next up on my list is Paul. What you got, Paul?
Morning or evening, depending where you are.
Good morning.
Good morning.
No wood for a change. Something different. I've been busy with my 3D printer making things like this. So that's a set of chuck jaws with like an offset for doing a pendant. I'm just trying to hold them so I can get them at a better angle to get some light on them. That's probably slightly better. But you see there, my fingers are in the way now. The insert is offset.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Oh,
very interesting.
So I printed those. That's one set. Then I did this one, which I've yet to sort of take apart. They're still on the sort of the backing. Let's try and put an extra
Are those
light on over here.
the step jaws, the basic step jaws?
Yeah, set of step jaws. I've got 2 sets. Just turn on an extra light here behind that. That's a little bit better. Point that one at here. There. So yeah, but a set of step jaws is. I mean, this is the way it prints it as one, but then you just peel the joining bit off. So I've just got to sort that out.
What kind of
there's
material is that? What kind of material?
These are printed with PLA, which is cornstarch derived, isn't it? And this one's a larger set. Same thing, but bigger. You see the difference in size there.
Yeah.
The black ones are about 3 inch or just under, and the other ones are 4 inch.
and those will be strong enough to hold?
Pardon?
Those will be strong enough to hold wood?
Yeah, I mean, they're obviously not going to be as strong as steel, but where I think I would use them is if I've made a box or something like that, and I just want to remount it to finish the bottom or something like that. So use it for things like that rather than the whole turning process. I think that's one of the things you've got to watch with 3D printed stuff. It's printed in layers, and if it hasn't printed right, the layers could shear, so it could potentially break. But I've adjusted the settings on the print to make these as solid as possible. So hopefully that's given it as much strength as it can. A couple of other things I made. I printed some of these for when you want to turn a cube. So you can put one of those in the chuck. I printed two, but what I was going to do is do another drawing for a second one that could just screw onto my tail center. So I could mount a cube sort of between two corners and then turn it from there. And the other thing I made is this, which is a Morse taper cleaner. That's for a Morse taper 2.
Yeah.
And that works really well, actually. The plastic's quite hard, and you put that in the Morse taper and give it a couple of twists, and it does a pretty good job of cleaning it up, actually. But I mean, the handle's printed separately, and there's an 8mm screw in the middle to hold the two bits together. So I could have actually turned a wooden handle rather than the plastic one, but I was playing with the machine, so I thought, well, I'll do that. So
put a left-hand thread in there. Put a left-hand thread in there.
It isn't actually, no. It's the twist on the taper is sort of the right way for if you're twisting it clockwise. So the right hand thread works okay on that. My one-way lathe, the tailstock is Morse taper 3, so I was thinking of see if I could make another one of these, make a bigger one for a Morse taper 3. But all my other lathes and Morse taper 2. So that works. The other one I made was this one, which is supposed to be a 2-inch vacuum chuck. It didn't quite finish. It stopped early, but I thought, well, I could probably cut that. But when I tried it on the thread, this one I just downloaded the drawing. I didn't actually do the drawing for this one. The register behind the thread there isn't quite right. It's an M33 thread, and the thread works. But the register, I think they've just done it on the drawing as a 33mm instead of 34, and it needs to be 34. But what I was going to do is stick it in the chuck and just try and open that up to 34mm so it goes on all the way. Because at the moment it doesn't quite. And the fact that the print stops short, I think I can just turn that end. Once I've got the thread working, I can turn that end. And the idea is you just put a neoprene, basically an O-ring or something like that, or make your own out of some neoprene tubing or something like that to make that into a vacuum chuck. So I've got bigger vacuum chucks, but I always thought it would be quite handy to have quite a small one. And yes, I could have made that out of a piece of wood, but I thought, well, I'll try it with the plastic, see how that works out.
Oh,
yeah, it is. You're right. It is very handy to have a small vacuum chuck like that.
Yeah, there are times when it comes in useful, definitely. Yeah.
Yep, I use it a lot. Yep.
So
Do you have a file for the Morse taper cleaner?
Pardon?
Do you have a file for the Morse taper cleaner?
Yes, yeah, I've got the drawings. In fact, that one I downloaded it off Thingiverse. So it is online, but if you can't find it, drop me a line and I'll send you either send you a link or send you a copy of the file. But yeah, I downloaded the STL file and put that through the software to get the G code for the printer.
Okay, thank you.
So
yeah, if you can't find it, let me know.
What are those jaws made to fit? What chuck?
They are for an Axminster chuck. So obviously the back on the jaws has got to fit whatever chuck you're using. That's got the groove in there to fit onto the jaw carriers.
Right.
And that needs a little bit more cleaning up. I've just roughly done it, but you can see on the ones I haven't touched yet, the groove doesn't actually appear to be there, but it is underneath. There's a thin layer at the right point, and all I've got to do is cut that away. The groove is there. I've just got to clean it out. So yeah, they just need a little bit of work before I can put them on carriers and actually use them. But the bulk of it's there. But I mean, having printed them solid, or as solid as possible. I don't know how many of you use 3D printers, but you can actually set the degree of infill. You basically create a shell, and within it, you fill it with a matrix. And if you want to do a quick and easy print, you put a low fill ratio, and there's a lot of air in there, so less strength. But on this one, I've set it to 100% fill, so it's effectively solid. So it's as strong as it could be. It's still plastic and it's still 3D printed at the end of the day, so it's never going to be as strong as a steel jaw. But for the odd thing that I'm going to use them for, I think they'll be quite useful. I mean, I've got jaws I've made in the past out of wood or plastic where I've turned and cut them myself. But this is a lot quicker. All you do is do the drawing and press print, basically. So it is a bit quicker.
Nice.
This 3D printing, this is I don't know much about it. I don't know anything about it. But I would like to see you grab a piece of wood with that and finish it. You know, the way you're talking about, the way you want to use it.
Yep.
I would really like to see that work.
When I eventually get these mounted on truck jaws, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do that.
I mean, that's amazing.
I've just got to mount. Yeah, I've got to mount the carriers on the back to put them in the truck. But once I've got those set up, yeah, I can do that. We just do a quick 10-minute session or something like that. I'll put some bits of wood in there and put them through the paces.
That's something that I would never think of. I would never think that something like that could be done or invented. You know.
Yep.
By like I said, I don't know really what a 3D printer is, but
yeah, I mean, I think with using plastic jaws or even wooden jaws or any other type of jaws, if they're not steel, you've got to sort of bear in mind the limitations of the material that you've used to make the jaws from. But I mean, I've turned things in the past just attached to a flat plate with a bit of double-sided tape. So
right.
There are times when you can get away with a less secure hold, if you want to put it that way.
Right.
Because you know you're only just going to take a couple of light cuts or just true something up or whatever. But
they'll be a lot stronger than you would think.
Definitely horses for courses with things like this, isn't it? You got to pick the right tool for the job.
Yeah, they'll be stronger than you would think they would be.
You talk about the tape?
Sorry?
Pat, were you talking about the tape?
No,
well, any sort of
they'll be a lot stronger than you would think they would be.
Oh yeah. Well, but any makeshift chuck, whether it's a bit of double-sided tape or whether it's wood jaws, plastic jaws, or whatever, I think you've got to bear in mind the limitations of whatever holding method you're using, haven't you?
Right.
So
right.
And take necessary precautions.
Yeah, I'm curious to see that. That'd be nice. What an idea!
For sure.
But
yeah, we have a section on our website for STL files and stuff. So it'd be great to have that reamer because I know I can't get it anywhere. So it's you can send that up to the website. That'd be fantastic.
Figured out enough on the website.
But yeah, I mean, there is a website out there, Thingiverse, which has quite a lot of files on there. I mean, I started off on there just searching wood turning and found a few things. But when I discovered like Axminster jaws, I just searched specifically for those and see what else I found. And I mean, the Morse taper, like I said, I found that on the Thingiverse. I can't remember whether I searched for Morse taper or whether I just searched for wood turning. But anyway, this came out, and I made one of those. But yeah, I mean, I did notice there are drawings on there for other brands of chuck too, Nova and Vicmark, etc. But I mean, all my chucks are Axminster, so those are obviously the ones I'm going to print.
Yeah, it sounds like a smart decision on your part.
Yeah, I mean, it was something interesting to play with over Christmas.
Right.
I've had the machine for a long time. I bought it, I forget how many years now, probably nearly 10. And our youngest son at the time was getting into doing things like that, and I think he'd used one at school, and he said, "Dad, can we buy one of these 3D printers? You pay half and I'll pay half." And I think 10 years later, I'm still waiting for his half. So I don't think I'm going to get that somehow, but...
Amen.
Anyway.
That's kids for you.
Funny.
Yeah.
All right.
But,
well, we got some announcements to make and talk about here, and then we'll just go ahead and let the cat out of the bag. Paul will be back with us shortly because he will be doing our demonstration for this evening. So just hold tight, Paul.
Okay.
And let's swing over to Captain Eddie. And he's got some updates to give y'all. And then we got Mr. Dave Rhodes we got to talk to. And then we got Mr. Chandler we got to talk to. Take her away, Cap.
Okay, thank you, Jane. Had to switch cameras. I got a new puppy. Or I got a new monster, and he just knocked the other rig right over and pulled it out. But he'll survive. Okay, what we got, folks? You've been hearing about this for a while because our membership got together last year and put together a project we call Level Up. Now, Level Up is a chance for you to get into a real, honest-to-goodness wood turning experience. I'm not going to say it's an exhibition. I'm not going to say it's a symposium or a demonstration. I want to say it's an experience because you, the wood turner, are going to get there and turn wood during this experience. That's right. We've got over 25 slaves committed to this project. We're going to be at a site where we're going to have multiple sites going at one time, multiple meetings going at one time. We're going to have units to where we'll concentrate on not only wood turning, but post-wood turning activities and pre-wood turning activities. Yeah, what do you mean? Billy said a little while ago when he showed you his urn that he had to stop and plan using a software format, plan his layout on that bowl, that urn, to get it to look right. And then Al Dawson had to ask Brenda, how did you get those outside sections done and make it look so good? And she explained with the tapers and the lifts and all that. See, that's pre-turning planning. And we'll cover some of that too. And then what's post-turning planning? Post-turning planning is like, no matter what you turn, I want to turn you loose with Matt Hamby. That's going to be it. That's, because you got to decorate it. You got to finish it off. You got to make it look good. And there's going to be other sessions like that. And what can you do? Can you put a little bit of, Pat showed a little bowl he turned a little while ago, and when he flashed it up on the lid, he has some decoration put into it. Those little decorations it makes you go, ooh, wow, ooh, 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 because you don't get that in the store. You can't buy that. A wood turner does it. So Worldwide Wood Turners has got Level Up coming. It's in September of 2026. That's this year. That's right. And entry opens now. Yeah, our webmaster has activated the button. It's going to be on our front page. At least I said he's going to activate it. He says he's going to activate it. He's working so hard. Let me tell you what the problem's been. The problem's been other people. Thieves. Because no matter what you do on the internet today, there's people sitting home trying to figure out how to get into it and get money out of it. So every time you put something together, you got to go 3 more steps to make sure it doesn't get stolen or cheated or sidetracked or discounted or whatever. You know that. You know it's not safe to give a number out and all this. Well, that's what we've been fighting. And Dave's been fighting that for us. He's going to take a whole lot more about that in registration in a few minutes. But we've been fighting that dragon for a while. Not that we can't get it done. We can't done. We get it all done. But we got this ready. And it is ready for you. So sign up. Make the commitment. Get on board. Get there. And you know what's going to happen? No, you don't. You really don't. Because until you get there and start telling us what you can do, showing us what you can do, we'll never know. And what can change? Everything can change. Everything can get better because we're only stepping up. We're not locked into a mode. We're not locked into we can't do that. Somebody might get offended. Who? Why? I'm not going to tell you can't do the burn-in stuff and transmissible art and all that stuff. I'm not going to tell you can't do that. I want to tell you be safe what you do, and what you do, bring it, show it to me. I want to see the art that you generate, what you're capable of, and what you can teach. And that's what Level Up brings. A whole new level of wood turning, folks. Nobody else has tried this. I don't think anybody can do it. Why? we have the best membership in the world, and our membership is behind us 100%. And this is going to happen. It's coming up. It's registration for Level Up. It's open. Now, before we jump to Dave, I gotta ask you something. Okay, folks, this is it. If I had a few minutes with you, just give me 5 minutes. I want to take 5 minutes and ask you 5 questions. They're fairly simple questions now. I'll rehearse the questions with you before we go off and talk. But I'm going to ask you 5 questions about Worldwide Woodturners and our meetings and our club and what we do. I want to ask you 5 simple questions. None of them revolve around your heartbeat, what your cholesterol count is, your money, or anything else. It all involves in your involvement and our involvement and the involvement of this club and how we do things. So, and next week, it's going to be introduced. We're going to ask you 5 questions. This is a confidential conversation between you and me. I'm going to ask you 5 questions, and you're going to give me your honest answers. I'm going to write them down. And then I'm going to give you 1 minute, 60 seconds to give me an essay on Worldwide Woodturners. Tell me anything you want to tell me. And this is a conversation between you and me. That's as far as it goes. I will summarize those answers and those comments, and I will put them in a format and give them to a hierarchy of the club, which are all other members working hard to keep this thing going straight and make it right down the road like no other club in the entire world's ever done. And that's right. Nobody's ever tried to do what we have done. And we're not looking back. We're looking forward. So I'll give you that chance. Don't forget, we got the world's greatest website on wood turning. There's not one even close. We got the best newsletter in the world on wood turning. Don't even try to put one up against us. We got the best meeting in the world every single Wednesday night. Everybody loves to get it. And everything we do is open to the world. Everything we do. Worldwide Woodturners. It's your wood turning club. Dave, tell us a little bit more about the Level Up registration.
We got you, Dave.
Okay.
Yeah.
Make sure you can. Sorry we've had such a long time. We were supposed to have this open in November, I have to admit, and I had some problems. Our website sign up is really different than you've probably seen in the past. It's trying to be sophisticated. And let me give you a share screen here if I can.
Sure.
I ought to be able to find it. There it is. Let's share that.
The work you put in, bud.
All right.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Hope everybody finds it easy enough to navigate other than the few gotchas that we've got.
No, it's fine. It's just we're trying to verify and make sure that
hackers aren't coming in and
hackers aren't coming in trying to take advantage. So
and with the information I get from that list, I'll
coaches
be
are already
creating
registered.
I'll be creating a list for each of the members saying, okay, you're going to have these 5 people that are going to be on lathes.
Right.
And the
And
double
so-
verification just will also foil the bots.
Yep.
Yes.
Right.
To take all this work Dave does, we got to put another 0 on his salary.
Well, I've already put in a motion for that, and we got to have a meeting and see if we can pass it.
And what is that? Means what? Just all that.
All right. So I have a quick announcement to make. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Al.
No, I just say he's got my yay. Hey, yay.
Yay, right? Yeah, for sure. So I'm going to do a screen share here. As some of you know, we made a post on. Well, that's weird.
Let's get up.
Try this. Made a post on Facebook the other day. I think 2 days ago. Late on the 5th, I posted that we have our club patches available. And so here is what our club patch looks like. They're available for order now on the web page. We have a PayPal link up for them. $7.50 shipped worldwide. So we're eating the postaging for the international folks. And the first lot of 50 that we bought, there's only 9 available now. So I'll be reordering more on tomorrow. So if you want to lap up the next batch and be on queue for the next batch that'll come in next week, have at it. And I'll post the link here in the chat. If there's any questions on the patch, speak now, forever hold your peace.
I love the shavings on the floor.
Yeah, I saw that. That's beautiful.
Homage to Captain Eddie, you know, making shavings. You know, you gotta have that on there, right?
Yep.
And then I'm thinking about, and I gotta take it to the powers that be of getting some new matching die cut stickers made, and we'll see what those would cost and see if there's any interest for that, and if so, we'll get those thrown up on the website and make them super affordable and one-stop shopping, and just make me fill out a whole bunch of envelopes. And then there's a lot of people on here already that have bought patches. Your envelopes are already addressed and ready to go out with the quantities on the back. There is a limit of 3, and that's just due to postage weights. So, but if you want to make a separate transaction for an additional quantity of 3, by all means, go ahead. Just trying to cut down on the cost of postage. So, but other than that, that's my announcement on patches. I really appreciate everybody that has bought thus far, not only here in America, but up in Canada, over in New Zealand, and in Australia, and Scotland, Ireland, and England in the last 2 days. So kudos to everybody on that. And again, if you don't like doing the online transactions, send the $7 or $7.50 per patch. You know, tell us how many you want. Send the check to Scott, and Scott will let me know, and I will mail the patches out to you. Any other questions? Outstanding. Let's get to Safety Sue. We'll breeze through safety here, and then we get on to our demo. Hey, Sue.
Hey, guys. How are you? Sorry you missed me most of December, but I'm alive and well, and let's start out the new year. First, Happy New Year to everyone. I'm sorry I missed last week's meeting. I heard it was pretty good. And I'll watch it sometime this week. But let's start out this year with safety. And part of that safety is maintaining our equipment. Clean your shop. Find out where you could get hurt by going through junk. Sweep your shop, vacuum your shop.
Okay, now you've gone to meddling.
What's that?
I said, okay, now you've gone to meddling.
Vacuum your shop? Seriously?
I'm going to making some stands for my Sharp 3000 and my laser, and wax your bedways. Make sure everything on your lathe is working. Check out those belts. If you're not sure what to check on your lathe, look at your user's manuals, download a user's manual if you no longer have it. Look at YouTube's. Sharpen the tools that need to be sharpened. And best of all, have a great time and be safe. And I want to see you all next week. So take care, everyone, and have a wonderful new year. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks, Sue.
Bye-bye, Sue.
Thank you, Sue.
Thanks, Sue.
All right.
You're welcome, everyone.
All right. For the highlight for the evening, let's go to Mr. Paul. Hey, Paul.
Good evening. How's it going? You hear me?
What you got on? What you got in store?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yes, sir.
Tonight we're going to do a pepper mill. I'll show you some I've made earlier. So there's a couple there. A pair. These are sycamore, or what as English people call sycamore, which I know is different to what the American people call sycamore. But these are of that sort of of wood. It's English sycamore. Let's call it that. I've got a blackwood insert in the top of this one, so I used a plug cutter and a suitable sort of Forstner bit to make that. And there are ceramic crush grind mechanisms in these, which are pretty durable and quite easy to adjust as well. And the good thing about these is you adjust it at the bottom by turning the screw here, and then when you pull the top off to refill, you don't mess with the adjustment, so it stays where you have set the adjustment to. These I said were sycamore. I did another pair that started off as sycamore, but one of them, the top part was a bit wormy, so I thought I'd change tack there, and I made the tops out of some emboyer. Again, I've put a black insert in one, so you know which one's sort of the pepper one. So same thing, but the same mechanism on those as well. And these are, there's a bit of ripple in the wood as well, which is quite nice. So that was those two. But what we're going to do now is this one. I made quite a few a while ago, and I might have showed some on here a year or so back, perhaps. This was one of them. This one's made out of Ovan coal or Amazak or Schedule, I think is another name for it. So it goes under various names, this one. It's quite a nice wood, quite a nice grain. I quite like the colours in it and the stripes. So a nice wood to turn. And this one's got a bit more of a point on the top. I do some that are just spherical, like the ones I just showed you. Some with a bit of point on. And on this one I made as a single one, but I decided I liked it, so I kept this one. And this is the one we now use ourselves at home. But I thought what I'll do is I'll make another one to match this one and use that as a salt grinder, because if you make a pair you can do one of each. But what I sometimes do with a pair, rather than put an insert in the top, and the shape on the top on this one probably doesn't quite lend itself to that, although yes, you could do it. I don't think I probably would. Some I've cut a groove at the base here just so you can see visually between the two, or even a groove in the knob at the top. So just some way of differentiating the two, and it doesn't need to say salt and pepper. I think once you figured it out, it doesn't need to be any more than just some visual difference. So that can be anything you want it to be, really. So we're going to make one like this, and we'll go sort of start to finish with that. So where we're going to start is with the wood. I've cut the two pieces. These were joined as a single piece, so I've got continuation of grain. Obviously, if you're using contrasting wood, you don't need to worry about that quite so much. And you can see there, I've put a couple of lines there so I know which way they go back together. I've also gone to the trouble of marking T on the top for top and B on the bottom for bottom. So even if I forget and turn those lines away, which I will do at some point, I've still got marks up until the point where I drill these and cut them, so then it becomes obvious which end is which. But up till that point, I need these marks to make sure I get things in the right orientation. I've marked the center on this piece already. You can just about make out there's some lines there, and I've put a little indentation. The way I normally do that, I'll show you on the lathe over here. We'll switch cameras over here. So I've got my piece of wood there. I'm using a white pencil because it's a dark coloured wood, so that's a good tip. Get yourself some white pencils, it just makes it easier to see. So I'm just using my fingers against the edge of the wood there. It doesn't matter which finger you choose as long as you keep the same one. I'm just going to move the tool rest, give yourself a bit more room. And I'm aiming the pencil for the middle of the piece of wood, just do a line, turn it through a quarter of a turn, do another line, turn it again, another line, turn it again, another line. Now, all those 4 marks were made without me moving my fingers, so the pencil is always at the same distance from the edge. That box in the middle is slightly rectangular, but that's fine. It's just because the wood wasn't cut perfectly square, so that's the way it's the shape it is. Then once I've done that, I've got here an automatic punch, which you can be had for just a few pounds or dollars from at most good tool shops. Aim that to the center of the box that I've drawn, and then I'm going to do it on the bed of the lathe. Press until it fires, you can hear it click. So that's just made a small indentation so I can put it on the center, and I've got a center mark. I'll do the same the other end. Again, aim somewhere near the middle. Do the four sides like that, and then aim to the center of that little box that you've drawn. Even if that box is a lot bigger than I've done it, it still helps for you to actually zone in on the center and visually find the center and make the mark. It doesn't need to be perfect either. The closer you get to center, the less wood you waste. But yeah, you don't need to buy a center finder for this. That's all I've ever used for 20 odd years, and it works. I have got a center finder for round wood. It's an engineering tool, but on square bits of wood, it doesn't really work because that's not what it's made for. I've got my centers set up on the lathe here. I've got a stab center here. It could be any drive center you've got. I'm going to mount the top end at the tailstock end initially, and then just pitch that between centers and then drive the wood in to engage with the teeth, and then that's ready to roll. Bring my tool rest in and set that about a quarter of an inch away, and then once I've set the tool rest and clamped it, just spin the piece of wood to make sure none of those corners are hit, and it's, roughly, I can see the corners, each corner's roughly the same distance, so that's just a double check on the centering really. So all I need to do now is to rough turn that. One thing I didn't do actually was to start that recording. So I'm just going to turn that on. Hopefully that's working. Set that up, ready to roll. So I'm not going to turn the whole thing down to round. All I need to do at this stage is put a spigot on at least one end. I could do both. I've just put a new piece of wood on the lathe, so as my usual rule of thumb here, I'm going to switch to that camera all the way over there so you can see me from a distance. Now I'm going to move out of the firing line here, start the lathe up and just bring the speed up. That's a 3-inch blank, so it could run at potentially 2000 RPM. I'll go for about 1500. That'll do. We'll switch back to the overhead camera. All I'm going to do here is to just rough down part of it at both ends. It's not quite round, but that's enough for what I need to do here. You can see there's still just a bit of a flap in places, so it's not fully rounded. Ultimately, I'll round it all accurately when after it's been drilled, so that's why I'm not worrying about it too much now. Now I've got a set of calipers here, which I've set for the lathe for the chuck I'm going to use, which is a set of roughly 2-inch gripper jaws. I'll show you that in a moment. So all I've got to do is gauge the spigot, and I can create I'm using a 1/4 inch parting tool here, so I can use that to create a 1/4 inch spigot. Once I've got a shoulder there, I can put the dividers or the calipers on there and keep going until the calipers fit over. That's yeah, as I say, 1/4 inch wide. I'll do the same the other end. Doesn't need to be any longer than that. That's more than enough, I would say. So that's spigot's done, and that's all I need to do initially between centres. So I'm just going to move my tool rest out of the way. By the way, since my last demo, well, probably is since my last demo, I can't remember now, but my lathe has grown. I've added a bed extension to it, so it was a 2416. It's now a 2416 plus a bit, because I've added a 17. Well, oddly enough, one way sell it as a 17-inch bed extension, but it's actually 19 inches long. So it's a bit bigger, which is quite handy because I've got more bed for when I'm drilling things and more space to sort of slide the tailstock out of the way when I'm not using it. So there are less times I need to sort of slide the bed, take the tailstock off the bed. I can just slide it back out of the way. So next thing is to mount my piece of wood in the chuck. I've got the marks I put on the end to mark which it's just about visible there, but that's, again, it's a good reason why I marked T on the top and B on the bottom. So the T, the top end, goes in the chuck, because I'm going to start this from the bottom. So we'll hold that tight in the chuck. First job is to just square that end off with a gouge. So I'm going to set my rest across the end here. Swap the cameras around the other way so you can see the end. So I'll just set the rest so the gouge should cut all the way to the middle. That should do it. I just need to cut enough just to square that off. That's all I'm trying to do. So that's done. Take the tool rest out of the way. So now I'm going to start the drilling. It's all going to be drilled with Forstner bits or sawtooth bits, whichever you want to call them or whichever you want to use. And for this job I need these three. 45mm for the first part, and then 38 or 1.5 inches for the second, and then 1 inch or 25mm for the hole all the way through. By the way, I've got a set of instructions here, and it says crush grind shaft instructions. It's got all the different instructions there and diagram here. I'll put a link for that in the chat. And one thing it does lack is an actual overall length. So I've written on mine for a 200mm mechanism, which is what I'm using. The base is 180mm and the top is 85. So that's the sizes I've cut. I've just allowed a little bit more because I'm going to lose a little bit when I take the spigot off. So that's my overall size. But this diagram and the document, I'll just put it in the chat. So that's a link to. It's not on my website. It's on a website in the UK where they sell the crush grind mechanisms. But you can just download that whole document and save it, print it, do what you want with it. Which is quite handy. It's got step-by-step instructions and the measurements. Right. So for those of you who haven't seen them before, I guess most of you probably have. This is a crush grind mechanism. It's mostly plastic, aluminium shaft, and the top presses on as well, and it just clips in. This top ring here, where I've got my finger, is the actual index ring that clips in. There are two tabs there that get compressed in, and they release into a groove. So you've got to cut a groove for that to lock in. And the same on the top. There's a little tab at the top, three in this case, that compress in and lock into a groove. And once they're in, that's it. So you've got to get it right first time really with this. So you've got to take a bit of care with your measurements and dimensions and drilling depths and all that sort of thing to get all of this right. You can always cut these to length as well. If you want to make a shorter mill, you can just cut a bit off the shaft because there's no thread on the end. It's just a straight rod. It's actually a 5-sided rod. And I've done it in the past. I've bought longer ones and cut a bit off, and all you do is file the end to make it smooth, so when the cap goes on, it slips on easily. So I just bevel the end slightly. But yeah, you can always adjust these to length. You can buy them in different lengths as well. I don't think they're too expensive. But to make those grooves, you do need a tool. And I've made my own, and this is my tool. It's made out of an old carpenter's chisel, and I've ground the side out here, and where it cuts is just this little bit on the end, on the side. So you push that into the hole and cut sideways with it, and that's the cutting edge there. The rest is just relief. That's the marker for the full depth for the bottom of the mill, and that pen line there, you can just about see where my finger is there. That is to show where it sort of needs to go in to do the groove for the top when you're doing the top part. So homemade, you can buy these as well. I think the one in the UK, it's about £40–50 to buy. So I thought, well, I'll just make my own. It took me a little while to grind that, but once it's done, it's done. That should last me a while. I've also got a few other accessories which I've found useful at various stages of doing pepper mills, which I'll put over here on the bed of the lathe. Just give me a sec. Right, so let's switch to that one. I've got this one here, which is, it's got a spigot there which is designed to go into the 38mm hole, and the end it's hollowed and ground slightly, and that's used to press the mill mechanism in. So that's pressed in from the tailstop. I've got another one which is similar. Again, it's got steps there for holding different parts. I've got other spigots like these that I've used in the past for sort of putting in and driving different parts or supporting. Another one there with a hole in the middle and a spigot on the outside. So you just make them as you go along really and make them fit. And there's another one again with a spigot. So it's just a case of making them fit the bits you want. And I think this one, that's the size for the top part, the hole in the cap to just press that on and then turn it. So all of those are just made as needed. So looking at the diagram here, what it's telling me is that the first hole is going to be a 45mm hole. Go back over that. So we're going to drill into the end here with a 45mm hole. That's 1 inch and 3/8, isn't it? No, 1 inch and 3/4. Yeah, 1 inch and 3/4. So I'm going to just mount my Morse taper Jacob's chuck, put the drill in the Jacob's chuck. With drilling holes with Forstner bits, the best way to go is to do the biggest hole and then step down, rather than drill the smallest hole and step up. So I'm starting with the biggest for that reason. So I'm going to do the 45mm hole first, then I'll step down to the 38 or 1.5 inches, and then step down to the 25. So I'm going to slide my tailstock in. I think I need to clean the bed on my lathe, it's just a bit stiff. Right, let's back that up a bit. Right there. Now, as you probably already know, using Forstner bits or Sawtooth bits, they just generate a lot of heat. So I've dropped the speed down to about 500 RPM here. That's running relatively true. It's not perfect, but it's pretty close. Close enough for what we're doing here anyway. So I'm going to hold on to the chuck, which you can't see because the camera is just got that out of shot. So I'll just turn it on. No, I'll leave it where it is. You take my word for it. I'm holding the chuck. Can I just do it? Oh, I'll just zoom it. Yeah, there you go. I'll just zoom it out. Leave it there and I'll just zoom out. So I'm holding on to the chuck, starting off slow. Now the depth I've got to drill to here is 19mm. So just before I go in, it's probably worth checking that out. I've got a depth gauge here. So I'm going to set that to 19, which is 3/4. And it's a bit more than the body of the drill. So once the whole body of the drill is in now, I know I've got to go probably another 1/16 from that point. So we start drilling. You can see even at 500 RPM there's a bit of steam being generated there. This Oban coal wood is moderately dense, so that's not unsurprising really. So I'll turn that off there, and I'm just going to put my depth gauge in to check, and that's just a whisker off.
How thick is a whisker?
Less than a 32nd, or less than a millimeter, I would say.
Right on.
So that little extra touch there, that's got it. So that's the first hole complete. I can swap bits now. That's all I've got to do with the 45. The next one is the 38. Now with the 38, the diagram says drill to 53mm. So again, I can set my depth gauge to 53. Now this one's fairly critical because that's the exact depth you need to go to create the step for the where the mechanism clicks in. So if that's not deep enough, the mechanism won't clip in. So it's got to be pretty close. I might have somewhere on that. Let me just release it. No, there isn't. There probably was a pen mark on here, but it's gone. So I'll just approximately. Have I got a pen to put it on? No, I haven't. So I'll just wind it in and check. So we'll do it that way. So I know it's about that far where I've got my thumb. So just make sure I got that engaged into the taper on the tailstock. So wind that into the start position, and then Now that 53 is from the bottom of the mill, not from the end of the last hole. So I'm always measuring from the end. We'll wind that in. I'm guessing it's about where my thumb is. So we'll go till I'm fairly close to that point, and then I'll stop and check. When you're drilling with Forstner bits, just remember to withdraw regularly and clean out the shavings. You can see there I'm a good ½ inch plus short of the mark, so on the right side of sort of the measurement there. Again, keep hold of the chuck. Now at that point I'm just picking up the cut again, so if I bring my thumb back roughly the amount I've just measured I'm short by, wind it until my thumb's at the end again. The reason I'm holding the chuck, by the way, is just to, in case it spins in the taper. It shouldn't, but just in case, it's always a good sort of safety measure to hold on to the chuck. And as I withdraw the drill, I'm pushing the chuck back into the taper. So if it did happen to separate, you wouldn't end up with the chuck sort of flapping around and being a danger to yourself. Right, so I've literally got to go probably roughly a 16th, not a lot more than that. So I'm at the right point there, just another turn of the handle, like that. Right, that's looking pretty good. So I can see that's touching the bottom. Just as that touches, that's pretty much bang on. I'm certainly within a fraction. It's a minute amount under depth. So I'm just going to drill again another whisker. That's all. Maybe half a whisker this time, but yeah, not a lot. Right, so we're on the mark there. That's it. So that's the measuring done at this end at least. Now the last hole is the inch hole or 25 mil that's going to go all the way through. Now you see that drill there isn't long enough to go all the way through, so I'm going to have to drill this from both ends, but it's not so long that I need an extension. I'm going 2/3 of the way at least, and I might even get slightly more than that if the chuck will go part way into that largest hole at the end there. So I should be okay with that. I have got extension bit to use if I need it, but for this one there's no need for it. I'm just going to wind that tail stop back, push that in until we're just about to touch in there, and again wind it in. Yeah, one thing to remember with Forstner bits is withdraw, excuse the squeaking, withdraw it every now and again just to clear the shavings. Otherwise you'll find the bit will embed itself in, and you'll have a real job to get it out. So don't be tempted to keep going because it will eventually get to the point where it's almost impossible to get the thing back out. So come back a bit, clear the shavings, and go again. So probably don't want to go more than about an inch at a time. You can see how the chuck is going into the end of that 45 mil hole. So that's far enough. So that's everything I can do at this end. So now we'll switch attention to the other end. I'm not going to worry about turning any of that yet. I need that spigot to grip the other way around. So I'll just get all the shavings out of the hole and then grip it the other end. Now, if I wanted to, I could actually use a spigot jaws to grip that and turn that spigot away, but I'll do it this way. Works for me. So that's holding. Looks reasonably true. Now, I don't want to go straight in with the 25mm bit here. So I've got to do two things. One is to square the end off, and one is to drill a step. Now at the other end, it's a 38mm hole or 1.5 hole, 15mm deep or just over 1/2 inch. And the purpose of that, the larger hole is that's where the lid goes in. So this is where the lid runs. So just trim the end. Just to square that off. And the spigot on this end, I won't actually turn it away. I'll just turn it down and that will become part of the mill. So what I want to do here is just to check with a ruler what my overall length of the wood is. My aim is to make it 180, and that is, once I take the spigot off, that is 180. So that is now the correct length. So when I cut that piece of wood, as I said, I made it literally just a little bit longer to allow for losing the spigot off that end and truing it up both ends, etc. So I've allowed just enough. The measurements aren't absolute. If it was a little, let's say, 1/8 of an inch out either way, you could probably get away with it. It's not absolutely critical. That what matters more is you get the steps correct and the holes correct. The overall length, you can sort of get away with it. So now that's cut square, I need the 38mm drill again. This time, as I said, it's going in 15mm, and that is, as you can see there, literally just the depth of the drill head. So it's always worth just checking that and see if you can use that as an aid. In this case, you can. So we tighten that up. And the chuck. Back there. Drop the speed down to 500-ish again, and I'm aiming for that 15mm step. Now that's wandering off slightly, so I don't really want to do that at this stage. If I can avoid it, I will. So what I'm going to do is bring my tool rest back. I think what's happening there is perhaps the end wasn't entirely centered, so it followed the center mark, which was not quite on center. So I'm just going to turn that center bit out with a little scraper. This is just like a V-point scraper. You see that? Simple scraper. Probably 45 degrees each side, roughly, something like that, 40 degrees, 45. It could be either that or a 3-point tool or anything like that. I've got a 3-point tool I have, like this one, I often use for things like that. I find them quite versatile. But I'll just try to manipulate the tool around the drill because I'm far too lazy to remove the drill. There you go. So I've taken that little bit of wood out from around the hole that's trued it up on the axis it's running on now. So hopefully that will make this drill want to run true. We'll find out in a sec. Yeah, that's better. Might not be perfect, but as long as it's pretty close, that's okay. Yeah, I was wandering a little bit, but I think we can live with that. And as I said earlier, the depth of the drill body is almost the exact depth I need, so I can check that. Yeah, that's pretty much spot on. So we can swap that for the inch bit, 25mm bit, to finish drilling all the way through now. That's the only hole I need at the top end, is that 38mm for the cap to go in. So I'll keep that here. Keep the chuck key, get rid of the drill. Right, so 25mm, and I want to drill that through to meet the other one, the hole from the other end. Now if your drill's a long way off and it wanders, that might be a problem, but as long as it's fairly close, you can always sand or file any steps that are in the middle if they're substantial. If they're really small, I don't think it matters too much. But if you've got big steps there and it just doesn't look right, see, that's gone through now. Oh, excuse the squeak. Right, so we're done with drilling. That seemed to meet up quite nicely, and I can get rid of my drill chuck for the moment. So that's both ends drilled. The hole goes all the way through, and it's the right length, or it will be once I take this spigot off. Sometimes, and let me position this there. Now you can see that hole, there's still a plug in there. Where I've drilled through, it's created a plug that's just moving. So what I need to do is to, oh, that'll do it. Find a stick here. I've just got a glue stick here. Put the glue stick in there and just tap that through, or tap it out. Now it's gone now. So now the hole, let's get it lined up. You can see you've got a clean hole all the way through now. So yeah, you get that with the Forstner bit, you get, because it's a flat-ended hole, the last little bit, rather than it being all cut away, just gets pushed through. And the actual join there looks pretty good. I can't see anything more than like the minutest of a step there. Blow out some of the dust. So that's that ready to roll. Now I'm going to leave that alone for a minute and we'll come back to it. So we'll move on to the cap now. Now what I perhaps should have done was to do this before getting rid of the centre, but we'll go back to turning that between centres. So live centre on the drive. Now I've drilled both ends of the base. I know which end is which, so it doesn't matter that I've not got the marks on the end anymore because I've drilled that part away. The marks matter up until the point when I've drilling the hole, so I make sure I drill the right end. And again, this one is mark B and T for top. I want to drill into the bottom, so I'll mount it so the bottom is headstock side. And the tailstock end is the top. The reason being, I'll put a spigot on the top, knowing that when I reshape the top of this, I can use most of the spigot rather than waste it. I'm going to obviously lose a little bit where the centre is, where that's made a hole. You've got to get rid of that. But the rest doesn't matter. And in fact, if I drilled, as I did with some of them, drilled an insert to differentiate between the pepper mill and salt mill, then I wouldn't even need to lose the wood from the center mark because I'll drill that out anyway. Right, spindle gruffing gauge again. That's spinning through. Take the speed back to 1500. Just take enough of that away to create a spigot. Back to my 1/4 inch parting tool. Now that end's a little bit off square. I obviously didn't cut that very square. I cut it on the bandsaw earlier, so let's true that up. 1/4 inch spigot. Use my calipers to gauge that. And if you put the calipers on the wood while it's running like that, and make sure they're not sharp-ended ones. All mine are nice and rounded on the end so they don't dig into the wood. Because if it digs into the wood, it's going to throw them back at you, so definitely want to be avoided. So that's all I need to do at this end. I didn't quite get that fully squared off, but I just took the worst of the run out on it, so that's fine. So we can mount that between centres now. Sorry, mount that in the chuck. We've just done the between centres bit, haven't we? Put that in the chuck. Now, this is going to be the bottom end of the mill, the bottom end of the cap. I could turn those corners away if I felt the need, but I'll leave them there for now. I'll just square the bottom off with a gauge. I want to cut the end of that square. If you want, you can check that with a ruler. That looks pretty good. I've cut through all the previous sort of marks from the bandsaw. Now to drill the centre part. So, what the measurements are telling me here is to drill that 22 millimeters, which is 7/8. So I forgot to get the 7/8 bit out of my box. I'll just grab that one. That's it. The diagram says 7/8, but this one is actually, sorry, the diagram says 22, but this is actually a 7/8 bit. But they're within a fraction. I mean, it says 22.1, so I'm within 1/10 of a millimetre, I think, which is within sort of working tolerances for what we're doing here to do this. Take the centre away and back to the Jacob's chuck. Yeah, I forgot there's 4 bits, not 3. So yeah, the top is just a straight hole with that 7/8 or 22 millimetre bit, and it's drilled to a depth of 40 millimetres. So I'm setting my depth gauge to 40. Again, I think I'd probably, oh yeah, and just about there see a very faint line. I don't know if the camera picks it up, but I can just about see it there. So if I put that line on the top, I can see where I need to stop. And just to make sure that is the right line, I'll check it with the depth gauge. Yes, it is. Always worth checking if you're putting lines on drills and things like that it was actually the right line and you haven't used it for something else. Drop that speed down, 500 RPM again. Just a bit of a wobble there, but see if that'll, no, I think it's going to go with that. Right, there's the line to there. Stop that and check. It's pretty close. Another half a turn. Now this one, it wouldn't matter too much if you went a bit deeper. You don't actually put the insert in all the way to the bottom of that, so you've got a little bit of leeway there. If you drill it a bit deeper, then no big deal, as long as you don't drill it so far that it comes out the other end. So you don't want to hole all the way through with this. So that's my hole drilled. Now, what I've got to do in the end there is to cut the groove both for that piece and for the base. So let's do this one first. I think I'm done with the drill. We can get rid of that. So I'm going to use my recess tool. Now the measurements I've used on this recess tool, if I push the recess, cut it in all the way until it's against the edge of the hole, that's it, that's cut to depth. So I don't need to do any measurements in terms of the depth of the cut. It's just make sure I get the cut in the right place and pull the tool towards me, and that's it. So try to keep it simple. So the diagram says that recess should be, well, in fact it doesn't actually say on the diagram, that's a measurement that's missing. But I've measured it in the past, and the measurement between the end of the insert and the clip, I'll measure it now so you know, it's 15 millimeters. So that's the measurement there, and that's what I've got on my tool here from that line to the cutter. So all I've got to do is go on the cutter. I don't actually need to measure it. I've done that before and I know where it needs to be. So I'm just going to set the tool up on the rest so it's cut in just a little bit above center. Treat it like you would any sort of scraper type hollowing tool. If you've got them cutting just above center, they're a little bit less aggressive. And here aggressive isn't good because you're in a confined hole with a moderately short handled tool. So I don't want to go too low, so it's going to be aggressive. So I push that in while trying not to make a cut. Go in until I reach the line and then gently pull it to the left. A little bit of a wiggle. And there it's stopped, it's not cutting anymore, so I know I've cut to depth, so that's it. Job done.
Slick.
Apart from that needing cleaning, there's nothing else that needs doing in that hole. That's it done. It's full of shavings, obviously, but that's cut. The end's cut square. Now, while I've got it held where it is, this end part, I'm just going to give it a very light sand. 120 and 180. That's probably all I need to do on that. Because where it's held, where it is now, it's a convenient way to, and a convenient time to do that. It doesn't need to be sanded to a ultra fine finish. This is the inside of the mechanism, remember, so it doesn't need to be mirror finish or anything like that. 180 grit is plenty good enough. It's just so it's smoother than I left it with the cut. So I can take that out of the chuck now, and that 22mm hole, I don't have spigot jaws that small. I've got some 25 and I've got some 38 or 1.5 inches. So I can't grip that with spigot jaws. But what I can do is to use my homemade mandrels. It'll be one of these two. I think that was the first one I made. I've used it a few times and it's gradually worked loose. The other one is a tighter fit. It's not mega tight, but it's probably tight enough if I do it between centres for at least for the initial part. So I can do it with that, but I'll come back to that one in a little while. I'll do the base first and then I'll turn that to fit. Because what I want to do with the lid is to turn the spigot to fit the base. And I'll do that after I've turned the base. So this base is ready to go. The holes are done. I need to finish the ends. Now the bottom, I said, I'm just going to turn that spigot away and lose it. So if I mount this so the top's in the chuck, like that, that's running pretty good. Now, might be a good, yeah, shall I do it there? Now what I've got to do is to hold that to do the cut with the groove tool to make the insert fit. I can either use that mounting there or I can use my spigot jaws. I think I'll just do it on the spigot while I've got it. We'll do it that way. Do that first. I've got a choice of either here. So that's what. Yeah, thinking about it, I've just remembered where I've drilled this. I've drilled from the end, and I said I was going to take that spigot off, didn't I? I could do it the other way. Take the spigot off the other end. We'll do it that way. Yep. Because I measured both of them from the end rather than from where the end would be. So that needs to be corrected. I'll do it this end. I'll take that end off and I'll just drill the holes deeper before I cut the groove. That would be, I think, the better way, because I've reduced the diameter there and I don't want to reduce the base of the mill quite that far. I think the base of the mill should be a bigger diameter than the spigot. Just checking that. Yeah, it is. Right, so we'll take the spigot off and then I'll just re-drill. Just realised what I did there. I just want to cut that bottom straight because that will be the bottom of the mill. So I don't want to leave that rounded or curving the wrong way so it rocks. It needs to be pretty flat. I can check that with a ruler. A little bit more. Now then, I'm doing this the wrong way around. That is the top. I've taken the spigot off, so we'll do it that way. Right. I've just realised I've taken the spigot off the top rather than the bottom, and I was intending to do it on the bottom, but we can sort that out. because I was going to keep that and take the one off the other end. I've put it in the truck the wrong way around. Now that corner, I can just take a very light cut off there just to bevel it. So we will go to using the other chuck, the spigot jaw. So that's a 25, and I've reduced the length of the 38mm by a couple of millimeters. It's now about 10 instead of 15, so I need to drill that end deeper now. I'll just get it right. It was all going so well up until that point. Such is life. Get my drill chuck back. I looked at one of those crush grind mechanisms earlier. I thought, well, what happens if it does get stuck in? What would you put it in? You can't take it out. But what you can do is by carefully dismantling it, you can take out the bit at the bottom, the grind part, the ceramic grinding component, and oh, not the tail stop. Pull that in to there. Now that one should be 15, I think. Yep. Just check I got this right. So yeah, you can dismount them to the point. Right, that's correct. Yep, that's it. Yeah, you can dismantle it to the point where you can take the grind part out, and then the shaft is held in with a couple of E-clips rather than circlips, if you know what I mean. So you could, in theory, release the clips and withdraw the shaft if you needed to mess around with that. But the actual plastic insert, I don't think there's any way of withdrawing that. So once that's done, it's done. So that's the top bit fixed, right depth, and it's square now. So that's all that needs. I'll just sand that end as well. Let's do that. Most of that's going to get cut away, but in fact I can sand it when I do it. So yeah, we'll leave that. I'll sand it when I do that, when I shape it. Right, swap chucks. So I've got some 1.5" spigot jaws there, which will fit in that larger hole up to that shoulder. So I can hold that there, and I can use a large centre or something like that initially to get this squared up. But what I actually want to do here is to take that spigot off as well and just drill those holes fractionally deeper. So because I took my spigot off the wrong end, so that messed up. Find a centre to put in there. That might do it. Yeah, this is just a no, it's a Morse taper 2, so that won't work. Wrong one. These are the Morse taper 3, so we'll try this one. Right, that one's got the screw centre on it, but I can put the cone centre on it. We've lost the drawings for a second, but don't worry, we'll be back. That one will do, I think. Close the door. Right, I've got my centre there. should screw on. That's it. And all I'm trying to do here is to get that running true in the chuck before I tighten the chuck up. Make sure I get that as close as I can to running true. And then remove the chuck. Right, I want to go get rid of that spigot first. So I'm going to end up with a mill that's a couple of millimeters shorter than I intended, but like I said, it's within what I think I can get away with, so it's not that big a deal. So I'm just going to first turn that end off. Just taking fairly light cuts as I'm just supported on that spigot jaw. So I don't want to go too heavy with this. So where this cut stops, that will be the bottom of the mill. That's it. Looks good. Check the measurement there. No, I don't normally turn at 2 o'clock in the morning, so that doesn't help. I'm trying to get it all right. I'm just putting a slight bevel on that corner, just using the wing of the gauge as a scraper really, just to bevel that. Now I've got to go back to my Forstner bits and just drill those 2 holes to the correct depth again, because I've obviously just taken probably 1/8 of an inch or maybe a bit more than 1/8 of an inch off there. Now this one, let's just double check the depth again. Should be 19. Get my depth gauge again. That'll tell me how far out I am now. Oh, actually, let's have a look. Yeah, it's about 1/8 of an inch. Yeah, I probably wasn't that far out with my guess there. So this will be shorter than the other one by 1/8 of an inch. Speed 500. And this one's a 1/16 or so past the end of the mechanism there, so that should be about right. Let's check it again. That's looking good. The other hole is 53. And that's the one with the 38mm bit. Now, if you get it all right, as I didn't, then you just need to do this once, drill them once, and that's it. But as I carried away and took the spigot off the long end.
You're being creative and showing how to recover from making a minute.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is great. This is great. Because a lot of people do this when they make a pepper mill.
Right, let's try that. So, put my depth gauge in there. I've got to go about another millimetre. That's about it. And as I said, this one needs to be fairly accurate because that's where the end of the mechanism is going to. So you definitely don't want it to be short of the mark. probably could get away with it if it was a bit too far, as long as you don't use the bottom of the hole as the guide for the groove, when you cut the groove. So all being well, that's all the drilling I need to do. So it's cutting the groove now. So I'll get my rest across the end there.
Paul, we wanted to see that groove cutting tool in action again. That's the reason why you did
Yep,
it.
that's the next job. So where that's got to go is, if I push that in on the edge of the 45mm hole, I can feel a stop there. I've got to go past that, and where I see the stop at the bottom, this cut here, this is almost double checking my measurement. That cut there should be level with the bottom of the mill when I hit the bottom of the 38mm hole. If I move the tool in, it'll go all the way in. I'm in the 25mm hole. That's the one that goes all the way through. That's obviously not the one. So it's just get a feel for where you need to be. That's confirmed my hole depth is correct, because that's the end of the cutout here. That is aligning with the bottom of the mill. So all of that's looking good. So I can wind that speed up again. Again, set that rest just a little bit high. So I'm cutting above center, treat it like a scraper, and take light cuts. I've lined up that cutout with the end of the hole. Push left. It's engaging the cut there, a bit of a wiggle. You can sort of feel it cutting, and then it stops like there. It's stopped cutting now, so I can withdraw that, and that should be it. So plenty of shavings come out. Yeah, that's a good groove. So that's that done. So that's the holes this time fixed. Now, as I said, I was aiming for 180 length. I'm going to be a bit under that now. I'm at 175, 176, I reckon. So I've lost 4mm, but I think I can live with that. That's going to work. Right, so that's the holes done both ends. I'm going to sand this bottom part while it's easy to get at. And again, it doesn't have to be sanded to mirror finish, because this is the bottom bit that's going to sit on the table. Now all these exotic woods like this, dense woods, tend to dislike being sanded too heavily at high speed. They'll crack and craze on the surface, heat checking as they call it. So drop the speed down a bit so you're not creating too much heat, and sand through the grits. That's 120, 180, I'll do 240, and that's as far as I'm going at the bottom. I don't think I need to do finer than that at the bottom. The rest I'll sand more, but that I don't think needs it. And that corner, just a quick sand there, and inside, in fact I'll go back to 180. Some of that inside is visible, so I'll sand that at 180. And 240. I'm not going to sand the inside and the bottom to finer than that. I think that's good enough. It's a working object rather than a pretty thing to look at. So I'm turning it to the point where I think it's visually okay, but you know it's within a reasonable sort of tolerance there of how I think it should look. So that's ready.
It'll pass for flat work.
Sorry, Dane?
I said it'll pass for flat work sanding.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good enough, I think. So the next job really is to turn the outside. The top's done, more or less. The bottom is partly done in there, and then we can turn the actual shape of the rest of the mill. So I can go back to my live center and actually support it with the live center. That fits quite nicely into there and just locates on the 38mm hole, that does. So I've just given me a little bit of extra support there. So what I want to do here is turn it, this time turn it round and then shape it. Now, what I'm doing is turning this on the axis of the hole. That's why I didn't bother turning all this round to start with, because sometimes the hole doesn't run true. So rather than waste wood, I've just done the hole. Now I'll turn the rest of it concentric. I mean, you see at both ends there's a little bit of a wobble there. It's not massive, but there is just a little bit. We'll swap around there. If I turn that down slow, you might see it better. The camera's probably not ideal to pick up that wobble at high speed, but if I drop the speed, you can see at this end it's running out just a little. Not so much at the other end, but anyway, we can lose all of that. That's fine. We know the tailstock end is the base of the mill, so that's going to be the fatter end of the two. So I can turn away all of the edges. Now, I can still feel a little bit of a flat there. At this end, I want to take away just enough to get it round. Because I think this will end up fractionally smaller than the other one. The two pieces of wood didn't come from the same source. It is the same type of wood. That's the caliper from the other one. And at that point, it's pretty much the right size, but there's still a flat there. So I've got to take another, maybe a 1/16 off to get that to the point where it's gone past flat. Well, it's actually fully rounded. A bit more. I think I'm nearly there. I think there's still a tiny flat there somewhere. Yeah, just there. So I've got to take another cut off there. Not a lot, probably a 30-second or something. That's about it. So that is slightly smaller than the other one by probably 1/8 actually. So, but that's as big as I can get. I haven't got rid of the flats. The other end, that is going to be smaller. Now I can gauge that size off the other mill. I haven't done it yet, but if I use this mill, I can gauge it off that. There. So that's the maximum diameter at the other end, and then I've actually bevel it in a little bit. You can see there's a bit of a chamfer on the top. So yeah, I'll do it to this first, and then we'll worry about that. So that's my size at the top, which is probably 3/4 of the other end, if that. So I'll just check, still plenty to go. Bit more. Now, as the base is 1/8 of an inch smaller than the other mill, And maybe I ought to make this slightly smaller as well, so keep the proportions similar rather than the absolute dimensions, because this one is going to be different. That's just about on it at that point. Now the rest of it is just a simple curve. There you see, it's just one long curve. I mean, I often make paper mills with simple shapes like this. I don't like lots of fussy details, beads and coves and that sort of thing on everything. So I quite like simple shapes like this. And I think with a wood like this, where you've got so much character in the wood, you don't need to do a lot in terms of decorating. Just let the wood speak for itself is my sort of plan with this. So that's what I'm trying to do. So
Yeah,
that
very,
top is
very
now,
often less is more. You're right.
yeah, I think sometimes that's definitely the case. So it's roughly 2/3 of the way up is the narrowest point. Now I could switch to a spindle gauge here, or I could continue with the roughing gauge, or another tool I like to use is a continental gauge. I'll just grab one of those, show you what I mean. I've got a couple of them here. That's it. And continental gauges are just generally wider gauges. So it's a halfway between a roughing gauge and a conventional spindle gauge, because you've got a shallower flute on these, as you can see if I put them sort of end on. The one on my right hand is a 3/4 inch, and the one on my left hand is a 1/2 inch. I'll go with a 3/4 inch here. I've got plenty of space to maneuver, so I can use that. And I quite like them for sort of long sweeping curves where you're not trying to do fine detail. It actually does work quite nice on things like this. If you're using a small gauge, it's more inclined to leave grooves, whereas a big gauge like this, it's going to put less grooves into the wood. Now I know at that narrowest point, I've got to make sure that I don't go beyond the size of the hole that's in the base. The hole is 25 mil for 1 inch. I've measured already with these calipers the narrowest section on the mill I've already got. So that's my gauge for this centre point. So I've got a little bit more to go there. So I've already set that up before we started, so I know at that point I can check with that. Now I'm going to stop that curve just short of the corner, just so the corner's not too sharp. A little bit more. I think my centre point needs to come down just a little bit as well. I was probably 3/4 of the way up rather than 2/3 at that initial cut. A little bit more there. Got that end in as well. And again, my other mill was 1/8 of an inch bigger, so maybe I should allow a little bit here as well to go through for keeping the proportions similar rather than trying to match the dimensions, which I know are different at the base. Just about got it there. So that is now the same size as the other one, but as I said, the base is 1/8 of an inch smaller. The top's currently just about the same. I'm just going to take that cut almost to the bottom now and just make a cut slower. This is more of a finishing cut. I'm not doing much in the way of angling the tool to make it a finishing cut, just cutting it slower to get a cut with less ridges. And then we'll check that there, that's just under. Check that curve. A little bit of a bump just there. That would probably sand out, but we'll do another cut. I don't know about you, but I don't like sanding, so if I can get a better surface, better shape, better cut before I sand it, then that's what I do. So that's a better curve now. I feel the shape is continuous. So size-wise, I think we're about there, and that's ended up just a little bit under to compensate for the fact that the bottom's now fractionally smaller than the other one. The top, I need to create that chamfer. So for that, I'm going to switch to a standard 1/2" spindle gauge rather than a continental. Here I want to create that chamfer, and if I show you the other one, you can see on the end there's that bit of a chamfer. It's only 1/8 of an inch or so in width. And how far that goes in is also significant, because the bottom of the lid has to end up at the same diameter. What you don't want to do is end up with a step between the two where the lid stops, and let me just pull that away slightly. You can see the lid stops and there's a flat, so the flat on the two parts should be the same size. So I can use my calipers here and measure this one. It's about there. Yeah, we'll go with that. The reason I'm not pulling the lid all the way off that mill is because it is full of pepper. I don't know, I'll spill them all over the floor. So I just eased it back a little bit. So I'll just cut that in a tad more. That's looking about right. So that's it, shaped. Sanding is all I need to do with that now. So always get the rest out of the way when you're sanding. You don't want to get your fingers in there between a rotating piece of wood and the tool there. So I'll bring my dust extractor in now because I'm doing a bit more serious amount of sanding now. Turn the extractor on, and I'll drop the speed of the lathe down to reduce the heat. So I'll start off with 120. Might have got away with finer actually, but we'll do that. Anyway, sand that little chamfer, which can be curved slightly rather than just straight if you prefer. We'll go to 180. Now what I want to do with this mill is make some differentiation between the pepper and the salt. So I'm going to put a groove somewhere. I could do it somewhere near the base, I've done that before, or I could do it on the lid. I think I'll do it on the lid. So that's my plan when I do the lid, is to cut just a little groove so you can visually tell between the two. I mean, now they're different size, you can tell anyway, but we'll go along with that plan. So that's 180. I'm just going to check how this looks at 180. Looks okay. I think it needs a little bit more just there. and then on to 240. Now at the speed and pressure I'm sanding, I can feel a little bit of heat. So I'm just moderating how hard I'm pressing so I don't overcook it or cause any problems with heat traces or anything like that, heat checks. So that was 240, then on to 320 now. I think this piece of abrasive is spent, so I'm just going to get a fresh piece. It's reached the point where I don't think it's cutting as it should, so treat your abrasive like any other cutting tool, or as somebody once said, use it like somebody else is paying for it. I've never been an advocate of just using it once and throwing it away. I think quite often there's still life in it for more than one use, but it's just being sensible with it, replacing it when you think it's not doing the job properly. That's looking okay, pretty clean, happy with that. So that's that done. The base I've already sanded to 240, and that's fine enough. So that's all I need to do with sanding. I've sanded to 320, and I think that's fine enough for this. If you like going finer, then there's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, it's a functional thing that's going to get handled a lot and used and abused potentially. So there's no point going for a mirror finish because it's going to get a bit of use. And one thing I've noticed with this one that's been in use for about a year, there are a couple of indentations in it. I think where people are gripping it, where they're wearing rings, and it's just putting little indentations into the wood. They're not scratches as such, but actual indentation. I can't explain that any other reason from being there other than from that. People squeezing it when they're like got rings on their fingers, but there's not a lot you can do to stop that, is there? Right, so let's get rid of some of those shavings out at the bottom, and I'm going to put some finish on this now. I want something durable, so what I'm going to use is this for the base as a melamine lacquer. This is chestnut melamine. Any brand of melamine is fine. That's what I like about melamine, it is quite durable. But it also doubles up as a sanding sealer. I use it when I make boxes. You've probably seen it when I've made boxes, done demos on here making boxes. I quite often coat my boxes with melamine rather than sanding sealer. And I think another factor here that is worth bearing in mind is on dark coloured woods, you don't, let's get rid of the dust out of there and the bits of shavings. You don't want to put sanding sealer on dark woods, particularly ones like this where you've got a slightly open grain, because sanding sealer has talc in it, and that will fill those open pores with talc, which is going to making them turn white. So it can affect the overall sort of appearance of the wood. You've got a wood that's otherwise whatever colour it is, a dark colour or brown or an orange or whatever, and you put sanding sealer on it, and then you've got all these little white pores in it, and that's not natural to the wood. So on woods where I think that matters, I don't use sanding sealer.
Paul, is that true of lacquer-based spray sanding sealer also?
No, lacquers and of any sort. It's just effectively it's clear. It's a clear film. It's a clear finish. But sanding sealer isn't just a lacquer. It's got things in to make sanding easier. That's why they call it sanding sealer. And it's the talc that is supposed to assist you with the sanding. That's what it's in there for. So if you don't remove all of the, I've just got a little bit of tissue stuck to the surface there. Oh, it's come off. Yeah, just got to watch that. I'm just going to
pat out for a tip and trick, Dave.
That looks great. Yeah.
Say again?
I didn't know that. No, I was just telling Dave to clip out. While
yeah, I mean it's
I didn't know that.
It's certainly not the first thing that comes to your mind, is it? I didn't know that for a very long time, but when somebody told me, I thought, yeah, that explains it.
Right?
But you look at some of these dark coloured woods, and you've put sanding sealer on them, and there's all these little white flecks in the pores, and I suppose you just think it's naturally part of the wood, but it isn't. So,
right, or you're thinking you're introducing sawdust.
Yeah.
That'll never go away.
Yeah, exactly. You're embedding that talc into the wood, and the only way you get rid of it is to remove that surface, sand it or cut it away. Right, so once that's fully dry, I'll cut that back with 4/0 grade wire wool. And melamine does dry pretty quick. That's already touch dry. A little bit of hand burnish in there to put a bit of friction on that. We'll finish it off. I can cut that back with the 4/0 grade wire wool. Make sure I do that top part as well. So that's that done. And then a final finish, I'm going to use some microcrystalline wax, and I've got this stick form. This is a combination of microcrystalline and carnauba. So that's going to go on top of the melamine as the final finish, and that will put a bit more shine onto it. And being microcrystalline and carnauba, it's a bit more durable than the wax, than the beeswax based polishes. So that will stay put, and it will withstand a lot of handling, which this is going to get. By the way, if you haven't got spigot jaws or other ways of holding a mill, as I'm doing here, what you can do is make a spigot insert for each end and hold it between centres. That's what I did to start with before I had the range of jaws I've got now. I just made a couple of wooden inserts to go in the end. One went in the chuck and one went sort of into the tail stenter, and that was all it needed. So you can do it without spigot jaws. It just makes life easier being able to do what I'm doing here. But again, if you're making those mounts to drive it, I'm going to show you here. This one here, for example, will fit in there. That's got a little bit of slack, but you could make one that's a bit tighter and drive it from that.
Paper towel work.
Yeah, exactly. You can always bulk it out, yeah.
Yep.
So that's done.
That looks great.
Finished. Turn that the right way. Get the dust out. There's a bit of fuzz on the edge of the holes there. So I'm going to sand that out with, just do it by hand with a bit of 180 grit, just to clean up those corners. That's all I'm trying to do here. I could actually just put it on the spigot there, couldn't I? It's probably quicker. Let's do that. Because that's a 38mm at that end as well. So I can just give that a quick whiz there and into the edge of the hole as well. Just a 25mm hole. All I'm trying to do is take away any fuzzy bits that are on the corner there and make that inner hole not quite so rough
It'll
to that
cut
end
down
bit.
Squeaking. It'll cut down the squeaking too when you put the mechanisms together.
Yep. Sand the inside there and the edge to 240. That's good enough, because that is going to rub against the lid, so there's no point going crazy with that in terms of finish. 240 grit will do that. So that's the base finished. I'll put that to one side for the moment. And now we'll go
What kind of
back
wood
to
was
the...
that again, Paul?
It's goes by 3 nails, over Ancol, or Amazak, or Schedule, I think is the third name.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
It answers to all
There you
those.
go, Brandon. Brandon, did you catch that?
It's from Africa, that much I do know, but yeah, and it's quite a dense wood. It's similar to the rosewoods. I don't think it is a rosewood, but it's similar in appearance, certainly, to some of them.
Really pretty.
Yeah, it's a nice wood. Yeah, I quite like it. Yeah. Right, so on the other half, the lid, what I can do here is drive it from that centre hole using one of my spigots. Now that one is made for a smaller chuck, so I put the wrong chuck on there. So we'll swap chucks. Now these are, I think they're 45mm spigot jaws. So grip that in there. I mean, that's got a little bit of movement. It's not like quite tight enough, but I think if I put a bit of pressure on from the tailstock, that might do the trick. Or, as Dane said, a bit of tissue. That would probably help. What you can also do to tighten up the fit, and I did it with the other one, is you cut grooves in it, and that just swells the wood. I don't know how many of you have tried that, but it's another good trick.
Yep.
But I have to clean the bed on this lathe, it's getting a bit stiff. What I would do is use a screw chisel, and you literally just drive it in as if you're doing a V-cut. Just push it in. You're not trying to remove wood, you're just trying to displace it. So where you push the tool in, you push the wood up and out either side of it. Not a lot tighter, but so no, it hasn't made enough difference, so we're still going to have to pad it. So we can do that. But yeah, sometimes that can work if you just want to try and get a little bit of extra grip, but it's not a lot of extra padding I need here, and I think these tissues are 2-ply tissues, so I'm trying to see if I can actually separate it and use one of the 2 plies. Now there, might just get it apart. Is it going to come apart? I think it is. Now in doing that, I've probably weakened it and it'll probably just disintegrate on me, but we'll see. Right, so I have halved it. See if that's given me enough bite. So we'll put that on there.
There we go. Look at that.
That's tight.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I can see it from here.
So yeah, that's just a single ply rather than 2. But I mean, if I make these tight to start with, and I mean, whether the wood's just contracted due to humidity change or whether it's shrunk a bit because I've used it a few times and it's worn, I don't know, but yeah, I mean, they're not, obviously not a lot of wood invested in that, so I could quite easily just throw it away and make another one. So I'll bring the centre in there just for a bit of extra support. And you see that top is a little bit off, but doesn't matter too much at this stage. Bring my tool rest in there. Back up to normal speed. And by turning this on that centre, on the hole itself, it means everything's concentric. So the lid's concentric to the hole, so it's not going to look odd when you sort of turn it and it goes off centre. So that's made sure it's all running true. I think there's a little, yeah, just tiny little bit right at the bottom there I need to cut away, but I'm almost there shape-wise. What I need to do here, at this end, I've got to make a spigot. The finish I used, Larry, was melamine lacquer as a base with a wax stick, which was microcrystalline and carnauba wax combined, both made by Chestnut Products. Right, so I've got to create a spigot here, and the drawing says the spigot should be 10 millimeters. You know that hole was drilled to 15, so as long as it's a bit less than 15, then you're good to go. Size-wise, that hole, we know it's 38 millimeters. So if I set some calipers, I've got here my 38 millimeter drill. Just check that in the top of the mill just to make sure, yep, that's the right one. So that's a good fit in the top of the mill. So I can set my calipers to the mill, to the drill size, use that as my gauge. And just bearing in mind that quite often drills do actually drill just a whisker oversize. So just be careful that you're not in a position where you're drilling sort of, or you're cutting this too big. That's got to be a nice smooth fit in the hole. You don't want it tight, you don't want a box fit, you want it actually to slide and turn. So you've got to make sure it's got just a little bit of play so it's not tight. So that's at this end, the spigot, because that's where the hole is. That's the bit that's going into the base. So if I go back to my parting tool now, we can start at the bottom. I'm going to go for about half an inch, 12 millimeters. But just remember that hole was 15, and if I get the mill movement here, also to go in the hole is the thickness of the edge of the insert. That sits proud, or at least that's what I do with it. You could recess it in if you want. I don't bother. I just drill a hole for the rest of that to go in, and that bottom bit actually sits proud of the surface. And I'll measure that so we know what that is. That's 4 millimeters. So if that hole is 15, then really I can't go much beyond 10. But having said that, what's the outside diameter? Oh, it is an inch diameter. So it should just actually drop into the hole, because it is an inch diameter. So that should work anyway. But we'll go with that. Right, we'll do the I'm almost there. I will shorten that by a couple of mil, just to make sure. So that's about 10. So just making sure that's cut level. That's still slightly oversized. Still tight. That's just about there. Okay, so that is a nice sliding fit on what I've got on the calipers. I still need to check it, but I'll come to that in a minute. Right, so from there I can start to turn the shape. Now my other mill, you can see there, it's sort of that, I don't know, what do you call it, Oriental almost, Arabic perhaps. So we'll aim for that, and the fattest part of that is roughly 2/3 of the way in. Yeah, certainly not central. So the widest part is probably about there. It's biased towards the bottom slightly. So now I'm using a conventional spindle gauge. I want to have a little bit more maneuverability, so I'm using that 1/2 inch gauge. And I'm bearing in mind that I've got a slight hole in the top that I need to deal with. And at the bottom, the bottom of this curve has to match the top of the base in terms of diameter. So we'll stop with it there for the moment. Take a bit more wood out up here. I just want to check the measurement at the bottom. I did have some calipers set to that. What's wrong with those? Wasn't that one? I think it was that one. No, I think it's probably the ones I readjusted to do the measurement of the spigot. So just check it again. That size, right, that's it. So these calipers are now set to the diameter I need the end of the flat to be. So that's still a little bit oversized. That's probably about it. Let's check that. Just to whisk it over, so yeah, that's a good place to be at the moment, I think. Bring this end in. Now that end, as I said, it's got a hole, so I want to get rid of a little bit of wood off the end. That much should do it. So I'll work to what's left. And that's literally turned to a point, or will be. A little bit more to come off there, but overall I think we're heading the right way. Clean that up, that should be about right now. Shape wise I think we're reasonably close. What I have also got is a set of dividers that I've taken a measurement off the other set to give that length. So that's still over length by probably 1/8 of an inch, so I can take a little bit more off the top there just to shorten that. Take that back, check it again. Yeah, a little bit more. And the other thing I'm going to check is that outside diameter. That's the one there. So that's a little bit fatter than the other one. So I can actually shrink that down just a little to get that diameter similar. A little bit more. Almost that.
It's getting there.
Take just a little bit more off the length.
Sorry, your shadow. I'm like, what's going on?
So diameter wise, we're pretty much on the mark there. That's just got it. So by the time that's sanded, it'll be just a little bit under. The bit at the bottom, check with those calipers there. Again, when that's sanded, that'll be about right. And lengthwise, between those 2 points, we're pretty much on the mark there. So sizes, I think we're there. Just adjusting that curve a little. That's probably a good idea to put the other one next to it and just look at the two. That looks reasonably good actually. Happy with that? So I just need to lose this little bit at the top. So now I need to get rid of the centre and turn that little bit away. Now bearing in mind I've got no extra support, I've got to take light cuts, work that away. Take that to a point, like the other one. Maybe not quite as sharp as that. Yeah, that's about the same. So that's ready for sanding, but before I do, I want to check that fit of the spigot. I'll do that first. And then it's just a case of sanding it. I'll just put the spindle lock on there. That tissue's gripping it good. Just pull that out. Right, so what I want to do is check that spigot fit in the base. I'd say that was just about okay. I can feel it just slightly gripping, so I think if I just sand that, that'll be a good fit. It doesn't need me to turn any more wood off it. I just need to sand it. Another bit of tissue needed. Stick that bit on. That should do it. So it doesn't matter too much whether this is concentric or not, because all I want to do now is sand it. Right, extractor back on. You see there's a wobble there. It isn't running on the same as it was, but for sanding purposes that doesn't matter. Clean that up. Now that little spigot, I'll dispense with the 120. I'll just do that at 180. That's the one. Now then, I'll fold that into 4.
That's really going to pop when you put the finish on it.
Drop a bit of speed off, just remembered. Just have a look at that. It's always worth stopping and having a look before you go down too many grits. Ideally after the first grit. There's a little line there, but I think that's just a sanding mark. If I just sand it the other way, it disappears, so that confirms it. So there's nothing there other than sanding marks, so I can move on to the next grit, which will be 240. Yeah, well, I've put a coloured insert in, whether it's blackwood or something else. I've got some plug cutters, so I can cut a plug to fit the right size forcing a bit, hopefully. So we'll sand that to 240 as well. And hopefully that spigot, just sanding it, has just reduced the size enough to make that run quite freely. You can always put a little bit of wax on that if you think it needs it, or if it's a bit squeaky. Wax often helps. Right, that's sanded to 320. Just quick whiz over with a brush just to brush off any dust. I'm also down in there. So now I can put my melamine lacquer on here. Turn the extractor off as well now. I'll give it a good coat, let that soak in, but it does dry quite quick, so you've got to try and get it spread out as fast as you can, because it will just dry otherwise. I tried to put on maybe 3-4 coats, so that's one. Give that 30 seconds and it's dry, and then repeat. I'm not lacquering the spigot. I don't want any finish on that. I just want bare wood, maybe possibly with if it needs a little bit of wax, but other than that, just bare wood. That's 3. Do one more for good measure. What I haven't done with this is put that groove in. So I just remembered I was going to cut a groove, wasn't I? So I'll have to try and true that up a bit before I do it. So I'll do that before I sort of finalise the finishing on this. Just let it set. That's reasonably good. We'll go with that. So there's different ways you can do this. You can do a groove with a 3-point tool or some sort of V-tool. You could do a little cove with a small gouge. I might just do that. I've got a 1/4-inch spindle gouge here. I just want to cut a very small cove near the widest point of that curve. I think I probably want to try and get that running slightly more true than that. It's not far out, but can I improve it? Well, that's definitely gone worse. And that. I think what's throwing it out is there's an uneven amount of tissue at the bottom there, so I'm going to reline that and try it again. Give it a much more even application there. Nope, that's going to work. That's still off a bit. It's getting better. That's pretty good at that point at least. Right, so we'll do that. So we'll just cut in small cove, just that. You could probably do this with a round-ended scraper if you prefer. Let's have a look. As long as that's relatively even in width, then I think that's achieved its purpose. Yeah, that'll do. So I've just got to sand that groove now. Just a simple V-cut would probably be the easiest way, but I thought I'd just do a little cove. $3.20. So that needs a bit of lacquer on it as well to bring that up to the same finish as the rest. And again, 3 or 4 coats. Just want to make sure I don't get too much in that groove. So I'll put it on, take it off, and clean the groove out. More. If you like oil finishes, you could probably finish these sorts of things with an oil finish, but I think this is probably just a bit more durable. Let that dry, and then I can use my 4-0 wire wool to cut all of that back. Make sure I get into that groove with it as well. Okay, and then the wax stick, the Carnauba and microcrystalline. I think that Chestnut just call it a microcrystalline stick, but so Terry Smart, the chap that owns Chestnut Products, told me, he said microcrystalline wax on its own is just too soft to form a stick, so they mix it with the Carnauba to make it into a stick. Which I think works quite well because the Carnauba is quite a hard wax and quite a durable wax as well. Got that buffed.
Yeah, it's looking sharp.
Right, so we gotta test that fit again. Let's hope it's come out just about right, but if not, just have to sand it a bit more. I'm just trying to get any remnants of paper out of that that hole. There's a couple of bits that have broken away. That's it, got it. Right, so check that fit there. So that should go on there. That's it, nice and smooth now, so I'm happy with that. But as I said, you can always run a little bit of wax around that. And for that, I just use the, this is microcrystalline paste wax. Just put a little bit of that on. I'm just putting a little bit on my finger, just running that in there. Sometimes, I don't know if you've come across that, but you get a squeaky pepper mill. But if you've got a bit of wax on there, that certainly helps prevent that squeakiness. That's it, smooth. And some of that wax will transfer onto the other part as well. Right, so we've got the fit done. All I want to check now, because I shortened the mill by 1/8 of an inch, I just want to double check where that leaves the stem, how far out that's going to come. Now I know the hole depth is 18, was it 19? Yeah, I've just measured it and it's 18.8, so near enough 19. The overall length of the mill, it's longer than my vernier stood at the ruler. I think I said it was 176. Yeah, that's about right. Say 175. So from that point there, where the points are on the vernier, that's as far as that goes into the hole. So from there to the top is what's going to come past that 18mm point or 19mm point. So let's measure, and we've got 185. So if we take 18 off that, which was 176, that's 166, 158. So 158, and we've got 185, I would say. So that's 27, yeah, about 27 mil of this stem sticking up above the hole. So if we've got 27 mil sticking up, then this hole we know in this part is 40 mil deep, and we've got a 10 mil overlap there. So from that point there, we've got 30 mil. So it will go all the way in without me having to drill that any deeper than it is. If it looked like it was slightly short, I could drill this hole slightly farther, but the problem is now gripping that without damaging the finish, obviously. That's my challenge. I just noted a little bit of paper on the end of there where I buffed it. I'm just going to give that a quick rub by hand just to get, that's it, it's gone. So I think that's going to work. Right, so assembly is the final hurdle here. So what I need to do is to press that mill into here. So it goes in that end, and then I need to press it in without damaging this ceramic mechanism and without damaging the actual mill itself. So this is where my wooden gizmos come into play. I want something to go in that end with a hole in. One of these fits it, I know, there, that one, or that one. Either of those work. So that needs to go in the chuck. This was actually made for the chuck with the bigger jaws, but I'll just open these up, holding it big enough to take it. Right, so obviously don't need to turn the lathe on at this point. All I'm doing is using it as a press. I'll take the center out, and what should happen is this other piece of wood, I've cut this away so it goes over the end of the knob and all that without putting any pressure on it. It's actually putting pressure on the outer plastic structure. Okay, so that's going to be my press from the other end. So I can put that against the mill against the mandrel there. The mechanism in the hole there. Slide the tailstock up, lock it in place. I don't need anything in the tailstock because I've got a flat edge here and a flat end to the quill. So I can just line all that up and then just hopefully wind it in. It clicks a bit when it's sort of centering itself, so that's normal. Don't panic if it does that. It quite often does. So that's now in, or at least it's on its way in. So I'll keep that going until I feel resistance and it meets the end. So that's reached the end now. Just make sure I pressed it firmly in. That's it. It's in. So now it's in, I can see that measurement I made is about right. But we can also do a final double check, put the lid on without putting the mechanism in, because this spindle will go all the way through the cap, the insert in the cap. into the back of the hole. So we can check there that it goes all the way into the hole and doesn't hit the top of the holes, which it does. It goes in. There's room to spare, so that's fine. That's going to work. So last job is to press the lid into the hole. Now this curve in here, or in the other one, is shaped to, that's probably a better one, shaped to take the lid, whatever shape you happen to have. Now, I'm just going to make a pad just to protect that a little bit. Just use the remainder of this tissue that I was tearing into bits. Put that in there to protect the finish. I can put that there, and all I really need here is a flat surface. So that might do it. I don't need anything special. It just needs to be flat. So I think I can do that straight on the end of the quill. If you're in any doubt, I'll put something between them. It's a bit sort of close on the hole size there. Oh, that'll do it. I've got a flattish piece here. That'll work. So we just need to bring the quill back just a little further. So put the mechanism there, put the flat piece of wood against it. Now if I did a lot of these, I'd probably make a piece of wood that just dropped into the Morse taper and sat there, and I wouldn't have to hold it, but the amount I do, I just do it this way. Right, so make sure the tail stops tight. That's just pushed off to one side, so try and straighten that up. Just in case, again, it all lined up and all going in at the same pace, which this one isn't. So sometimes it takes
the lathe says it's after 2 a.m. too, and it's not supposed to be working.
Yeah, it's just getting that alignment right. Sometimes it goes first. There, it's going now. Sometimes it goes first time. Sometimes you've got to jiggle it a bit. But now I'm just pushing that in until I'm all the way in. Just square that up to push it all the way in.
Nice.
So that's it. That's in. So if I've got that, one thing I would suggest with these, if you do start using these, when you push the lid on, put your finger on the end of the screw. So you're taking the pressure that you're putting on the shaft rather than the ceramic taking the force, just in case you press too hard and crack the mechanism. So that's on, and that's actually running pretty free. Obviously I've got no pepper in there, so there's no resistance, but that's spinning quite nicely. Nice. I mean, if I loosen that off, I see that spins pretty free. So, and we can try and get the
absolutely beautiful
grain alignment.
Yes, absolutely gorgeous.
Just about there.
Great job. Beautiful. Thanks, Paul.
Great demo, Paul. Thank you. Wow.
So let's put the two together.
You showed how to overcome.
Slight different shade in the wood, the colours. Let me just go to single camera there. Get rid of the insert one.
Interesting.
The one on the right, the old one, is a little bit darker, but a lot of woods do darken with age, and I probably didn't notice. So I'll see how they look in 6 months' time next to each other. Line that one up. But yeah, that's the two. Shape-wise, I think that's not a bad match, and size-wise, although there is an 1/8 of an inch difference in height, I don't think there's too big a difference there, and I don't think that's really too big a deal. I mean, these are going to be on my table. I'm not going to sell these anyway. And this one we've used for quite some time, so that one's just going to join it as a salt mill now. So I'll put rock salt in.
That is neat.
You did a great job, Paul. You overcame the tenon issue.
I'll come over here.
Paul, it was a very, very enjoyable evening.
Thank you.
It's what, 4 o'clock in the morning your time?
Did you notice I got that on as well?
Yeah,
Yes.
Look at that.
You're ahead of the rest.
I eventually got it put on my smock. Yeah, that's the old style. I noticed the new ones are slightly different, aren't
Yeah, a little
The
bit.
only thing different is
Two new ones.
we got homage to Captain Eddie on the new ones with the
Yeah.
shavings on the floor.
they? Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, I'll have
Yeah,
to order
mine
some of
doesn't
the
have
new ones as
shavings
well.
on the floor.
Yeah, you just mine. I need the new one.
Well, you better complain to Dane and get a couple free ones sent. The updated ones.
That's where the first one came from.
Hey, easy now, Scott. Easy, Scott.
That was a good idea.
Yeah, I'm not
Paul-
sure he would listen, but
Paul,
Need some jammy Dodgers there, Paul, just to keep your energy up.
Yeah, I did. I had a couple of biscuits before we started, actually. Yeah.
Right?
You might not have noticed, but when I first came in, I got a couple of coffee and some biscuits. So
Yeah, I did. So earlier there was a question on what is the optimal block of wood to start with? 8-4, 10-4?
I started with 3-inch.
Just regular
It
3-inch
was
block.
actually a 9x3 board, which I cut into 3x3s.
That's what I was thinking, but yeah. Okay.
So yeah, normally that's where I'd start. I mean, you can make them a little bit fatter or a little bit narrower, depending on what you've got to
Right.
hand, really. But
Yeah, what
I think
you're gonna
3-inch
do.
is normally where I sort of think it looks about right. I mean, I think height and width, sort of perspective-wise on that, I think the proportions sort of work. With that being,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously now that's a little bit under 3. Let me just
I agree.
measure that.
Now, Paul, do you think there'd be any benefit to drilling the base out instead of 25 mil, maybe a little bigger to hold more pepper?
You could. I've considered that myself. I thought, yeah, if you make that a bit fatter, you get more in it. Absolutely, yeah. But obviously, whatever size you do it, you got to make allowances for it at your narrowest point. So it depends on the shape of mill you're aiming for. Now that one, at its narrowest point, is 40. So I've got an inch hole and inch and 3/4 of wood there. So I've only got
3/8 on each side.
Yeah. There's not a lot each side of that. So take the 25 off. I've got 15. So it's just over 1/4 of an inch each side. So on a 25 mil hole, I couldn't go a lot thinner than that. You could go a little bit more. Yeah, I'm sure. But yeah, bear that in mind. If you drill it fatter, obviously you've got to make allowances for in your shape. But there are other shapes you can do which aren't quite as sort of cut in there as this one. Some of them are a bit straighter with, I mean, some of the more traditional shapes, you've got beads and coves top and bottom and almost a straight stem in the middle. So you don't always need quite that amount of curve in them. It all depends on what you're trying to do, really, your preferences.
My wife would say that's got a very feminine shape, and I tend to turn manly shapes that are more bulbous.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, Paul, I tell you what, it was a very enjoyable night.
Okay.
Indeed.
It was very enjoyable.
Thank you very much.
It took a bit longer than I thought, but maybe if I got it right the first time, I wouldn't have spent quite so long.
Then you wouldn't have taught us so much.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It was a class act. It was a class act. It was nice.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You always give wonderful demos, Paul.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Good. Thank you. I enjoy coming along and doing them.
Hey, thank you, Paul.
Thank you. But I think it's approaching my bedtime.
Yeah, it's probably approaching your bedtime, so we'll let you go. So once again,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
I'm not going to rush off immediately.
Or is it close to sunup?
Yeah.
Good night, Paul.
Got the things to
Amen.
sort out in
All
here
right,
before I go
we'll
anyway.
let you
But
go, buddy.
yeah, I'll see you at the next time.
I'll hit you up for sometime in March.
Okay.
Thanks again, Paul.
Cheers.
And then maybe sometime in February, a quick demo using those new 3D printed doohickeys you got.
Oh, these The truck,
You know, five,
Jaws.
5, 10
Yeah,
minutes. 5, 10 minutes.
I'll get them set up on some draw carriers so I can put them into a truck, and when they're all sorted, I'll let you know and we can sort something out.
Right. Yeah, for
Um,
sure. Those are
I
slick.
I did see a guy making something like that on YouTube, and he said that he used a higher density or a better quality plastic. There's
Yeah, you can get
there's
harder ones. I mean, ABS is probably one of the tougher ones, but
Yeah.
I've got what is by today's standards probably quite an old 3D printer, and it doesn't like using ABS. It's
Time before I left.
Burn hot enough.
Shut it off 15 minutes. Yeah, it goes off immediately. I have it. I have it working. Wait.
Well, everyone, I'm going to make tracks, so have a great night and thank you very much. It was awesome.
All right, thanks, Scott. We'll see you later.
Yeah.
Take care,
Good
Scott.
night.
Night, Scott.
Night.
Good night, everybody.
Cheers.
I'm out of here
Night,
too.
Billy.
Me too.
All
I'm
right,
gonna
no
go
problem.
find something to eat.
We're in overtime, so we'll call this the demarcation point of the main meeting. And for those that are still here, thank everybody that stayed. And we'll keep the meeting open for after hours. The first after hours of 2026. Wow.